Hello and welcome to the
Sup?
podcast. The podcast ever.
Hello.
The podcast ever, where we have literally Ryan Gosling today on our show. How you doing, Ryan Gosling?
Doing well.
Can you tell us about your movies?
No, it's confidential. I mean, any projects that I've got working on right now, I can't really say. So it's kind of under wraps right now.
Well, let me see here. Okay, there we go. What's up, Greg?
Uh, a lot of things can be up, and a lot of things can also not be up at the same time.
But where are we?
Like
Up.
like metaphysically, or
Up.
I mean,
We're up, bro.
in a way, yes. I feel like I'm up since I just woke up.
So you're so back.
In a way, yes. Hold on.
So tell me why you wake up at 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon now. We went over this last time, but you did you not do anything to fix it?
No.
Okay.
Not in the slightest. Like, I think the night before I went to bed at like slightly earlier, but that was still like 3 or 4. So let me tell you. Wait.
Okay.
Wait.
Beep,
Wait.
beep, beep.
Wait.
So what are you at? What are you at a crosswalk or something?
Wait. There we go.
It was like one of those fucking crosswalks where it's like you press the button.
Once
like,
I say wait, the audience has to wait. That's how it works.
Wait. You know?
Wait. Oh, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait.
Beep, beep, beep.
Wait.
Beep, beep, beep.
So what happened was beep boop up. I had a busy day yesterday. Which was funny because we didn't really get much done yesterday. But anyway.
We.
2 other confidants. And myself.
Your niggas.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay.
So we met up and then we left and we had like a goal to hit, which we met, but I was kind of hoping to get more done. But anyway, I got back home a little bit tired. So as I do, I did my stuff I had to do, wash some clothes and whatnot. And as I'm doing that, I'm thinking, let me throw on a podcast. And this podcast in particular that I'm watching is like 6 hours long. And on one hand, I wanted to finish it to the end, which did not happen.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me there are other podcasts?
Yeah, we have a competition. I am watching other podcasts for ideas in order to be better than them. Because obviously, you don't need any other podcast besides ours.
Okay.
Here's
an idea for another podcast we could do to beat the competition, because we'll like basically be the ones that are in the saturated market. We will be the ones that stand out. Here's what it is. Podcast 2.
I like it.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
that's it.
Like, do we like rebrand as podcast 2, or do we start another podcast as podcast 2?
Well, it's podcast 2. So we're the podcast ever. And then there's podcast 2.
Do we like change our voices, or do we just kind of do the same thing?
Well, no, it's okay. So usually when you have a second channel, you have all the leftover stuff go on the second thing. So honestly, we could do like a clips channel just called podcast 2. And we just put up a shit ton of clips of our show on there.
That works. Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I'm brainstorming on this episode.
That's a grind for you people. And it never stops. It doesn't turn off.
It doesn't.
But yeah, there's that. And then I had the craving to devour some gelato that I had in the freezer. So I did that because there wasn't that much left. And I made the mistake of like reclining a bit too much immediately after eating it. And it did upset my stomach. So then I was thinking, well, it's getting late, but my stomach feels like ass anyway. So even if I did lay down, I wouldn't be able to get to sleep. So it's like, I might as well just keep watching.
Well, hold on. Are there like gums or thickeners in this gelato?
Of course there are. It's fucking processed.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
See, look, if you want a natural, ice cream, at least. I mean, the most common one would be like Breyers. If you get their vanilla, there's like nothing in that except for like cream and vanilla and milk. It's like that's it, dude. That's the
Really?
best ice cream you can buy.
I thought Breyers would be shit.
I think other flavors might have seed oils. I'm not sure. You generally that's how it is with ice creams. Like vanilla tends to be like one of the safest. I mean, come on, it's vanilla, right?
Makes sense.
But speaking of which, I'm eating my orange juice concentrate right now.
I'm eating my daily yogurt meal routine.
This is breakfast time.
It is.
Ryan Gosling, what is your breakfast?
I'm eating nothing right now.
That's what you eat for breakfast? Nothing?
Well, today, yeah. I mean, I'll probably
Isn't it like actually breakfast time for you too?
Yeah, it's like 10:50 or whatever.
Why would you skip breakfast?
Well, because I only woke up like an hour and a half ago, maybe.
How would you feel if you did eat breakfast today?
I don't know. Well, I'm kind of skipping breakfast just because it's like I'm doing this podcast and then.
Dude.
What?
What? Are you serious?
Yeah. What?
Are you for real?
Yeah. Well, what's wrong with skipping breakfast?
You didn't answer the question.
Yeah, you didn't answer the question.
Wait, what was the question?
Oh my god, this is incredible. I can't even believe I just did that.
I think I was just trying to explain why, why I wasn't.
I'm saying, look, I'm saying, how would you feel if you did eat breakfast today?
Probably fuller.
Okay, there you go. You passed the second time. At least he passed the second time.
2 attempts.
Sure.
First verification failed.
Yep.
So he's mixed.
Don't call me that.
Half and half.
Half and half.
Yeah. I was reclining in my room watching this podcast, and then I heard the birds chirping, and I was like, well, yeah, this is probably not great. So I'm just going to have to force it. So I did.
Force it, you say?
Yeah.
What is it?
Slumber.
Oh. You know, I actually ended up going to bed last night, not until like fucking probably 3 o'clock in the morning, but my body just woke me up at like 9. It's well, I guess because I have a more consistent sleep schedule. So it's like if I do go to bed later on occasion, my body will just be kind of like, well, you do wake up around this time though. So you still might want to do that.
Yeah, my friend, she had something similar where she said no matter what time she goes to bed, she would always wake up at 10.
That's not good. 10? Late. If I had to have that,
I'd get up at like 8 on a weekend day.
See, I want to get up at 8 o'clock.
I thought you said you were trying to aim for like 5 or 6.
See, now that's optimal. But I'm just saying, like, I prefer waking up to 8 at 8 compared to like now when I wake up at like 9 or 9:30.
I'm just shooting for 12 at this point.
Yeah, I want to start waking up earlier just because I'm gonna need to for my job.
Your movie acting?
I mean, yeah. For my for my next movie. I mean, I can't reveal anything more than that, but yeah, I do have to get up early to go, shoot that.
A real strict director, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it's fine. I mean, it's just that like we got to do it like we're doing it outside, so it's like we gotta have like the right timing.
Does he spank you?
I mean, I wish, but no.
Okay.
Does he make all the actors and actresses drink like a real cloudy looking water mixture beforehand?
Whoa.
Hey, I'm just asking a question here.
No, I mean, I've never seen that before.
Do you think that's like in reality that's like some sort of electrolyte mix or something?
Yeah, that's what he tells them.
Well, if you think about it, it does contain electrolytes, right? Of some sort, I'm sure, right? I don't know what the composition of it actually is. I assume some zinc.
I mean, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. Have you seen that South Park episode where it's like Butter's creamy goo?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then Cartman tries it. He's like, kind of a grapey, bleachy flavor.
Oh, God.
Bleachy flavor.
Yeah. And then the end when Randy drinks it, he's like, "This is cum."
Wait,
He
I didn't
knows.
even take into account that. Yeah, how does he know that?
Right. He just automatically knows what it. Everybody else didn't know what it was. Like even like the
Right.
sports players chugging that shit down did not know.
This is
But
calm.
Randy just immediately knows.
Yeah. So
He's had
let's
it
be real.
before.
He's had to have tried it, right?
I mean,
Yeah.
given his character arc, yeah, it makes sense. Anyway, I wanted to have the audience get an official introduction to Mr. Literally Ryan Gosling. So why don't you go ahead and take the stage and give the audience a little breakdown of your stuff in person.
Well, I've been in a few movies, you know, Blade Runner, La La Land, a few others, and yeah, it's pretty great living a celebrity lifestyle, to be honest.
Now, did you just fall into that, or was it like a grind, or how did you get into that industry?
I was kind of born into it, to be honest. You know, my parents were actors, and you know, my father was an actor, and his father before him, and his father
Were they
before
actually?
him. Were they actually? Yeah.
Yeah. His
So it's
grandfather
like
and father?
Okay,
Your
okay. Are
grandfather
we
and father?
doing the are we gonna continue with the bid, or should I just be
What
I
me?
bit?
mean,
You're literally Ryan Gosling. I don't understand. But
so
seriously,
Shit.
is it like you were born into it, like a fuck, what do you call that? Like almost like a nepotism thing, like is it passed down by the mother or something like that?
whoa.
Right,
It's
you
usually
listen,
Whoa, Nelly.
it's a
or
father
the
thing.
father. You know, like you're born a certain
Yeah.
way with like certain
Right.
genes, and then you're like bound for Hollywood.
Yeah, pretty much. No, seriously, it's a genetic thing. Like it's just born into me. You get the Hollywood gene,
Yeah, the Hollywood gene. That's what we'll call it.
and it makes you immediately good.
It makes you very wealthy too.
Yeah.
It does. It does. You know, the life of an actor is pretty luxurious, I've heard.
You know, Hollywood got to stick by a Hollywood, and you know we got to make sure those non-actors, you know, aren't are not on our level. They're not human.
They're
Basically,
below us.
they are
If anything,
are
they're
subhuman.
Yeah,
You gotta
exactly.
They
keep
are
them in
dogs.
line.
They are
They're
dogs.
lower than a dog.
They're lower than a dog. Yeah.
They're just savages.
Oh, now you're
They're
thinking
like-
about the now you're thinking about like the Darman kind of video where it's like, you know, you're lower than a rat. Where it's like the adopted parents want to adopt a kid, and it's like there's like a black kid.
Oh yeah.
It's like you're lower than a rat.
School of Life. Wait, have you seen that, Greg?
I've seen like clips of it, like on Instagram and whatnot, but
You know,
I
it
haven't
was
seen like a full video.
It was weird because on that one where the two parents were like mean to that boy, there's a guy who comes in and he's like, "Yeah, I used to be here. I was adopted, but it was just one guy. Like there was no woman. You know,
I like
there was
the
no
idea
woman
of
with
like
him."
the only way you can empathize is if you're in the exact same position as a person. Yeah, I used to be in
my
the
beef with
adoption.
it, if anything, like I didn't even get like, you know, if there was a dad that was like, "Yes, I want to adopt a kid because I was adopted," cool, but why are you not with a woman? You know, why is it just you? Are you the only one adopting?
Yeah, wait,
this
hold on.
kid?
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
That is extremely sus.
Yeah, we can talk about that actually, but so Mr. Ryan Gosling, you mentioned, do you want to keep doing the bit? It's up to you, really.
No, I could just be me.
All right,
Which
whatever.
isn't Ryan Gosling, unfortunately.
How dare you
Whoa.
admit that?
Whoa. No way.
I'm just trolling. Don't worry.
But all the stuff about Hollywood genes is correct, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like I have insides on that. Like
Yeah.
Ryan Gosling's my friend, you know, and he's letting me
okay.
cover for him. So
Ryan Gosling actually wanted you to fill in for him on this show.
yeah, exactly. Like yeah, he like wanted to come on, but you know there was like a scheduling issue, so he was like, "Hey, can you like come on the show, pretend to be me?" But you know, I'm sorry, Ryan Gosling, if you're watching this, but
Well, I
And
mean,
he
you had
figured
me
like you'd be
convinced.
perfect because you are literally him.
yeah, no.
You had me convinced. I mean, you sound just like him.
Yeah.
I mean, how else did you get that picture of him?
It's true, it's true.
Yeah. I mean, this
It's
is
like a
one that
very
no one's ever seen before.
Very intimate photo you got there.
Yep.
All right, so are we still calling you Ryan Gosling or what? Ryan?
No, you can call no. Keep calling me Ryan Gosling, but just like.
Do I say Ryan?
Yeah, sure.
Rai.
The people don't need to know
Rai.
who I am.
Rai.
What the fuck is that?
Some white girl nickname for Ryan. I've heard it before.
Oh yeah.
Ryan
Also,
Gosling?
it's called
Not
called
him
Generation.
specifically.
It's called Generation Hope. That's the channel with like the fucking racist actors.
Oh, it's not Darman?
No, it's called Generation
yeah.
Hope. Yeah.
They're,
And like
along
just
the same
and
lines
just
of
one of
content.
the and just one of the thumbnails is actually amazing. 16-year-old pregnant teen shot by racist black cop.
Wait.
What?
What?
Yeah, actually, 5 months ago. They're still releasing these regularly.
Wait, the black cop is racist?
Yeah, why would they choose that? Like, I mean, it's not impossible, but why would they choose that example of all things?
I posted in the chat, but you can see.
Self-hating. Self-loathing, right?
Yeah.
They want to talk about how that's still racism, you know? But, well, you know what I was going to say? I've heard, have you seen that thing where it's that video, they're interviewing different people and they're saying like, are you racist? Like, how racist are you on a scale of 1 to 10? And there's like a white guy. He's like, I don't know. Like, I don't know if he said a 3 or something. He's like, I don't know, like a 3. And then there's a black chick and she's like, well, actually black people don't have the institutional power to be racist. And then it like goes to some white chick, like, and she's like, a 10. Large. Yeah. Fat white woman. She's like, I'd say a 10.
Remember, we need to give like a visual for the audience.
Right. Humongous white woman. But
Moby
basically,
Dick.
Yeah, Moby Dick. My point was that is basically, you know, with the argument that it's like black people don't have the structural like power to be able to be racist, basically saying like because they're a minority, they don't actually have like sway when it comes to how those sorts of actions affect people apparently. And so basically, you know, a minority cannot be racist against a majority or cannot be, I guess, bigoted against a majority. So my point there was, okay, well then how would a black cop be racist against the black girl, the black teen, assuming she's black too, unless she's white and he's just racist against white people. But you know, assuming we understand what this is, that's not the case. But basically, I was just going to say that I assume the institutional power would be the fact that he's a cop. So that would allow him to be racist. If he were not a cop, he wouldn't be able to be racist. But also he's a man, so I don't know.
Well, no. But on average, black people don't have institutional power. Most black people aren't cops, so therefore, even though there are examples of black cops, they literally can't be racist.
What? Then how can this cop be racist in that video? I'm
no,
thinking like
no, he's just not. That's just definitionally not what racism is. Then,
like, you know how you know there's that like article title where it's like black, like straight black males are the white people of black people.
What?
Yeah, there's this like article title. Even Joe Rogan read it on his show. And it says that it's like straight black people are the white people of black people. Basically, like they're the least oppressed black people. So therefore they can probably just be lumped in with the white people, if anything.
I don't know. I mean, if we're going to use that erroneous standard, I think a black woman has a lot more opportunity than a black man.
Yeah, exactly.
But like, no, see, she's a woman. She's a minority compared to the black man.
Yeah, this is still published.
Look, if you have like a fat black queer, she's going to be like so oppressed, you know?
What do you mean? She makes billions of dollars.
What?
Lizzo.
Yeah. Well, Lizzo is just one case, okay? You're going to point to the outliers to say that, you know, all black women can do this? I don't think so. Not until we see every black woman just like Lizzo will I be satisfied.
I was going to say, though, I think the logic behind it goes beyond just numbers. I think they actually believe, like, because of history or whatever, or because they're almost using like scientific racism in the reverse. I think even if there was like a society where, like, let's say it's like 1950s America, but reversed, where it's blacks or whatever in those positions, they would still say a black person couldn't be racist, I'm pretty sure.
I mean, that wouldn't even be scientific racism in reverse. It would just be scientific racism. There's no like default.
No, yeah, I know. Like in their viewpoint, it would be scientific
goes.
racism in reverse.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it's just the same shit.
But what counts as like the scientific aspect of it for the reason that they're doing this? What do you mean by that?
I don't know. I think I probably just used that incorrectly, to be honest. But
Okay.
scientific
Well, because
racism,
like
from what I recall, is like Darwinism, but
yeah,
applied specifically to race.
yeah, like I mean, like the skull theory and all that. Yeah.
Skull theory.
I mean,
Love that.
yeah, they do.
Now,
Listen,
honestly, I
Never
was
mind.
telling Ryan about this last night. So we were talking about Travis Scott, and he was talking about how Travis Scott looks ripped on his album covers, and I was like, yeah, I remember back in college, my gay roommate told me about, because I was like pointing out how black people are more muscular, and he started telling me that's because they used to breed slaves to be more muscular. Basically, well, either that it was a coincidence, like, because it was like, they were buying the biggest slaves anyways, the deluxes, if you will. And those were the guys that were getting the most action, or there were literal like slave owners actually breeding for those traits.
So you're saying the reason why black people are so buff is because they've been literally genetically engineered to be?
Well, that was what he proposed to me. Like, as I've pointed out before, like black people are known to have like more fast twitch muscle fibers. So like they're more predisposed to being like better athletically just by default. So, I mean, I don't know about like hand-eye coordination and all that, because I know that has to do with more with like testosterone, but the actual like ability to like run faster, or I guess like, have, I don't know if it would be like throwing as well, like throwing harder, stuff like that would be something they're more genetically capable of doing without having to put in the practice.
No, but
I just
they
want to
developed.
announce to the audience, I have finished my breakfast.
I have not
Wow.
finished my orange juice concentrate.
I had orange juice. That was the last part of it.
But here's the thing, they literally developed the hand-eye coordination from picking all that cotton.
Yo.
They know the cotton goes out of the leaf and into the bag.
I had Ryan hanging out with me one time. We have a mutual friend, the guy with the beard. You know him.
That's why
Yeah.
they can. That's why they
Yeah.
can shoot basketball so accurately.
Okay, so it was just like this when we were hanging out, and he was saying some quite abnormal things that you wouldn't generally hear in public about black people. And so my friend with the beard, the guy, he was like, holy shit, like this guy needs to calm down. Like, what does he think this is? Like, where does he think he's at? Like, people can get beat up for this shit. And he was just saying it in public.
See, like, I'll say some pretty racy stuff, no pun intended, in public, but it's usually as a matter of fact. I'm not usually just like going off like nonstop like that.
Well, you did call some fairies the F word.
Oh, hey, hey, whoa, 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 whoa.
No need to call him out like that.
Whoa.
Are you gonna censor that or what?
I don't know.
You gonna leave that in?
It didn't happen. If it did, it was deserved. If it wasn't, I don't care.
Okay, cool. So we're done. We understand that it did happen and it was actually awesome.
No, it didn't happen. But if it did, it was deserved.
It didn't happen, but if it did, it was awesome.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Okay, I understand now.
We're gonna get
well, that's what I'm saying. Well, I mean, you were inebriated, but if that did happen, you would have been inebriated.
Exactly. But I'm not saying I was, because I'm not sure if it actually did happen.
Yeah, but I mean, whatever you do inebriated, I mean, you kind of have to just take responsibility for it.
Right, but I don't have to take responsibility for it because it didn't happen.
Saying if it did happen.
If it did happen, yeah.
The inebriation doesn't actually cancel out the fact that you did it. It's like you were the one that chose to get that inebriated, right?
I blame society.
Actually,
I blame your beard guy because it was that day.
I think. Wait, what? He was there with us?
Yeah.
Holy shit! I didn't even remember that.
We went to our usual place.
No, I remember that. I remember where we were.
Yeah, we went to our usual place, and it wasn't popping. It wasn't quote unquote snowing as we predicted. Our forecast was incorrect. So then, we were like, all right, let's go somewhere else. And then we went to the other place. Yeah. And
was this because it was during the summer and it was like, that's the month they love to come out in June.
It was Cinco de Mayo.
Oh.
It was that weekend.
Ooh.
Oh yeah, I got you.
And
I
it was
got
the day
you.
after, and we were talking to our favorite bartender, and he was like, "Oh yeah, because we had so many people on the actual day Cinco de Mayo, which was like a Friday, a lot of people just aren't going to come out tonight." So we're like, "Oh
Right.
shit!" So, and he was like, "Well, if you want to find like a place that's actually like busy, go to all the time, go to this place." So we went there, and we went to our different place, and we usually went. Remember because they were handing out like tickets to get in for free, and I got in for free, and you guys just got a discount.
Yeah. What the hell was that about?
Nobody was tipping because they wanted people to tip, and nobody was tipping, including
No,
me.
but why did they give you a free pass to come in?
They gave you a free pass to come in too, but like the bouncer
Why would?
stopped.
Yeah.
Like the bouncer stopped letting people in right after they let me in.
What the fuck? But
And
why would they? They gave me a free pass though.
yeah, but nobody was tipping, including me. So I guess they're like, "Oh shit, this isn't working. Let me
Yeah,
just
I
make it half
remember.
price."
So
I was
that
going to
that was
tip in my defense, but then
that
like
was
I got annoyed by the fact that I had to open up my like Cash App and stuff, and I just
that
didn't
was
feel like
such a
doing it.
scam. Like there's a lady. Like let me explain this for Ryan. We were in an area with clubs.
He knows the
And
area.
well, he wasn't in that exact area because that's like mainly 21 plus.
Right. Well, he wasn't
wasn't
in the place, but he was in the like general area where these
he wasn't
places
21
are.
at the time we went to that area. But yeah, it's in that vicinity of like, all the clubs and stuff. There's just an area right nearby. When were we thinking about going down there? Because did we go down there?
Yeah, we did. We went the first day, and then you hit that
Which
karaoke bar. We could talk about that actually.
which place was it that, or not which like location, but like I guess he was down there with us, right? He actually did
Yeah,
go
then we
to some
went
of those
again.
places.
We
Because
went again once
there
your
were
other
some
buddy showed
places
up.
that aren't 21 plus, right?
Yeah, like we went into one. We went into the golf place.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot about that. I had thought that like all of it was 21 plus, so we couldn't go.
Like, I had more to drink
It was
than
the
you.
other location that's 21 plus.
Yeah,
It's the
no,
nearby
it's the
location
place,
that's actually the 21 plus area. We were
the one that we
actually
usually
yeah.
go to.
I see. So yeah, okay. So basically at the clubs we were at, one of them, there was a promoter lady outside, like handing out, like she's saying like free entry, like, and handing out these like tickets. And so Greg takes one, but I also take one, and like the other guy we were with, took one. Greg's in line right before us. He gets let in for free. But because no one was tipping right, so like I had to pay and the guy behind me had to pay to get in. So it was just incredibly gay.
Hey, I mean, I didn't get off scot-free. The first drink I ordered was like $15.
Dude,
Or no, $20.
I ordered a Long Island that cost like fucking $18. I remember you were getting so many fucking rum pineapples. I was like, why would you be doing this? But I got some too. I can't lie. And that one chick that was serving was actually she was kind of all right, So
She could have lost a
and she
little
was
weight.
pouring
Yeah,
up.
she was all right.
She was pouring
Yeah,
up.
she was.
She was a little on the fat side. Like she was like right there where it's like you become fat at that point.
Yeah, like she was on the line where she was like a little bit thinner. It would have been like maybe, but she was just over the line.
Yeah. Well, she's almost at that point where it's like, this is an example I've heard where somebody told me, I think this was in high school. I don't know if it was like somebody's coach or something told them this, which is kind of sus if he did. I don't know who exactly said it, but it's like, when a girl has so much ass and you're like, you don't even know if you got enough dick for that. You know what I'm talking about? It's like, it's just so big.
Your coach told you this?
Not my coach. I'm just saying some guy. I think it was like some of the high schoolers said a coach told them this.
What the fuck?
I know that's kind of weird that, I mean, they are kind of like, it was around like senior year. So those people would be like 18, 17, 18,
Oh yeah, I actually have a really fucking weird story to tell. So when I was in high school, I had a friend of mine who, and we were close at the time, but now we're no longer friends or anything like that. But basically, like he told me a story where basically he was like, I think this was in junior year, but yeah, so like he was 17 and his girlfriend at the time was 17 or whatever, and he he walked into class, and he had his phone out because I think he made his girlfriend his screensaver, and like I think she like she wasn't like scantily clad or anything, but like she was exposed just enough to where it was like, it was like supposed to be kind of seductive a bit. And and his teacher walks over, and they're talking or whatever, and he looks down at his phone and is like, "Oh, is that your fat material for later?"
What the fuck?
Yeah.
That is crazy.
And again, like I don't know how like I'm 100% sure that is a true story, but that's just what he told me directly.
That is fucking nuts.
Yeah.
That would imply that he thinks it is suitable for fap material.
Not only that, but he's talking to a 17-year-old about fapping. It's like, what the fuck? Like,
Yeah.
he could have probably like gotten away with it, honestly. Like, like we would have probably just thought it was funny if he was like, is that your material for later? Like that could have been like, right before the line where it's like, okay, that's pretty funny, but the fact that he said fap material, it's like he left nothing to the imagination. He did not make it just kind of like, a joke that can insinuate something. He just made it outright fucking blatant.
I think the joke suffers from that too.
Yeah, but like even then, even if he literally said like, "Oh, is that your material for later?" Like, I'd still think that was pretty fucking creepy.
Okay, maybe like, is that for later?
I mean, that's better.
I'm making it better as I refine the joke. I think
it's better, but like still to have like a teacher and then also your underage student, that's like just ugh.
But I mean, I think if he said, "Hey, is that for later?" it could have been funny. I think the kid could have even found it funny. I don't know if he did when I assume the way it was phrased made him found it. Did he find it funny?
I think he did, yeah.
Well, I think because an adult said that to him probably would have made it funny. But like if I were to see somebody say that to a 17-year-old, I'd be like, that's kind of weird.
So like, I mean, best case scenario for him is that he tried to make like an awkward joke about like, oh, this is for you for later. But like, the worst of it would be insinuating that like it's not just for you, but like I also find whoever you have on your screensaver attractive.
Well, I don't think he's okay.
So I don't think get what Greg was saying, where he's saying like insinuate that,
Yeah, I get what Greg was saying, where it's like, oh, well, it's almost like he's saying it's suitable for that. Though I feel like if he said like, yeah, is that your material for later? It would more so just kind of put it on the actual guy himself. That's like, oh, that's what he likes,
Right.
Speaking of this, I actually saw like, I don't know if you've seen this video, but there's like this, like these kids in school, they're black, right? And there's like, he's like, it's one guy recording, I don't know if it's the guy who's like actually looking at him that's recording, but it's like one of the guys who's recording, and this other kid is like on his phone, like tapping like on a live stream of like ass shaking on Instagram, and he's just like doing that thing where like you like spam like, so like all those like emojis come up, and he's just like doing it as the ass is fucking shaking. And so I don't know if his name was like Marcus or something. He's like, hey Marcus. He's like, oh, my fault. Like he just looks up at the guy that like is like telling him about it, but the teacher is right behind him. And then he's like looking because the guy's still looking at him. So he's like wondering, like Marcus is wondering why the friend is still looking at him. He looks behind him. He sees the teacher like, oh shit, and the teacher just kind of like shakes his head like in disappointment.
The impression of the black guy is amazing. Oh, my fault.
Oh, my fault.
My fault.
It come with egg wool. My fault.
It come with shoelace.
Yeah, at the Jordan store, at the sneaker store. It's like, hey, can I get a pair of Jordans? All right. And could I have some shoelaces with that? It come with shoelace.
Oh.
I thought it'd be $70. All right, man. Peace.
Amen.
Shoelace?
All right, man. Take care.
I was gonna say, by the way, I wanted to bring up that that one experience we were talking about prior, where we walked in and you guys had to pay and I didn't, which was really great for me too, because that was a rough patch for me. Or I think it was just before it became a rough patch, actually. That might have been like a critical factor for it. Exactly. Anyway, I walked in there, and now listen, I'm not trying to make it a race thing, but I walked in, first bartender I saw was some Asian guy with a man bun. I asked for my gin and tonic, and I'm like, let me get a gin and tonic. Cost me like $16. I was like, what the fuck? This is kind of gay. I'm not used to this. So once
Wait, what part was gay? The man bun?
I mean, yeah. That was also gay, but like the pricing was gay mainly. So then once you guys come in, we meet up and then we hang out around this one area with the other bar with the other bartender, like the woman, and I started ordering rum and pineapples, and they were like $12 if I remember correctly, something like that.
They were almost 15, I think.
Nah, they were 12 because this is integral to the story. Because then she takes a break or something, or she's like busy at the other side of the bar, and then the Asian guy comes back and he's like covering her area, and I'm like, oh yeah, bro, let me get a rum and pineapple, and he gives me the drink, and it's like $18 now, and I'm like, what the fuck is so going on? And then I'm pretty sure we both ordered one last one from the other girl, and it was back to $12. So I don't know what the fuck is up with that guy. That guy's a cunt.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. Probably something having to do with him being Asian. I remember that fucking Long Island he made though. Still kind of makes me nauseous thinking about the flavor of that. I did not like that. I don't know which liquors he used.
Which club was this at?
I'll type it in the chat.
Yeah, we're not going to say the name.
Yeah, you wouldn't know. No, I know. Was anyway, because you didn't go in there.
Oh, I didn't go in.
It's full of Hispanics.
It was it was Latin night too.
I saw a man in a dress, and it wasn't even like it didn't even look like he was trying to look like a woman. It just looked like this was a fat, hairy man in a dress with a mustache. It was disgusting. I hated it because, like, the thing is, like, you know, at least with like the you know, the ones that try to look like women, like at least it's like it's not as noticeable. It doesn't draw your attention to it. It's not like, you know, they're actually trying to convince you like that this is like, you know, just like something normal. So at least it like is uncanny, but it still looks close enough to what you're trying, or they're trying to do, to where it's like it's not necessarily bothersome to have that in the background, even though it's not pleasing. But on the other hand, this guy is a fucking, like, you know, he wants you to probably be looking at him with that fucking mustache and chest hair and shit with the fucking dress on. It's gross. It's fucking gross. And like, you know, I think what the real problem with it is like, so like, you know, there's no distinction, or I guess it's like the distinction between masculinity and femininity is lost here. Like, it's like, at least with the other examples, like they're trying to emulate what the femininity is. I'm not saying it's a good thing that they do that. I'm just saying that like the reason it's not as disgusting or revolting as this, like compared, like if you're going to compare one or the other, is because they're aligning more with what is like feminine versus like just going into some weird like meld between the two. And just, I mean, it's disgusting to see, honestly.
Was it like Gorlock the Destroyer?
It was worse than Gorlock the Destroyer. Because at least some people still think Gorlock's like, some people don't even know that Gorlock's a man. What? They just think this is like an obese woman.
What?
Well, I mean, I think the fat probably like accounts for that, but the face you can tell. I could tell.
Hey, Lois.
Hey, Lois. Yeah.
Are you guys? How good are you guys at telling like rooting out passers?
Very good, like because telling, I can tell like it's the facial structure.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
you can tell with it. And one thing I noticed, like especially, is it's like the part between the like below the nose and the upper lip. Like the men have like a more, usually it's like longer with men, like they have a little bit of a longer like space between there. They usually have more of a defined I don't know what that thing between your like nose and lip right there is, where like the Hitler mustache goes. I don't know what that little piece is called. Why
was that the first thing you thought of? What the fuck?
Mean, fine, Mises, you know.
No, that still doesn't like okay.
I'm just saying where that little mustache goes underneath. I don't know the part. It's like, you know,
could have just said mustache.
What do you mean? I'm trying to say that little part, not the whole like mustache area. The whole mustache area is what I was saying first. Now I'm saying like the little space in the middle is where like, you know, like it is
bow.
Huh?
The Cupid's bow. That
is more defined for men generally. It looks like it's like a little bit deeper, I think. I don't know if it's deeper on the inside or if they're like the like two ridges on the outside are just more defined, but it's something about that makes it like more obvious. Also the jawline is something that you can usually tell with, because especially like, I assume this might be more exclusive to the ones that have went through puberty before actually getting like the hormone blockers and stuff like that, and like hormone replacement. They usually have that more like defined jawline. And I mean, if anything, you can tell with the body structure as well, because like men don't have as much of like a like around their like their waist area.
Not as much of a figure 8.
Yeah, exactly. It's not as much of a figure 8. The men have more of a like a larger, like even if they have like don't have as much weight on them, they have a larger space that is filled in like on in their waist area. Like it is you can tell that this is of
more
a man.
Like a V shape.
Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on the man, because usually if they have like big love handles, they might be like upside down V. If anything, like they have like the like the small shoulder width compared to like the outside stomach. What?
Because even like women that are bigger, they don't really have that shape still.
Yeah. So, I mean, the body composition is definitely also something you can tell with.
The
Also,
shoulders as well.
what?
The shoulders.
Yeah, the shoulders. I mean, and that falls under body composition. I think like, and also what also falls under this is like height, because I mean, men generally all are taller. I'm not saying every tall woman looks like a transvestite, but I mean, the taller you are as a woman, the closer you're going to start. I mean,
it's not
like
looking good for you.
resembling that. Huh?
Especially when they're wearing heels on top of that.
Yeah. I don't know why you do that. It's not even good for your feet to do that.
No, it's horrible for you. I don't know why
Yeah.
heels are still a thing. I was watching like a reel where some guy was like, I'm gonna flex on women. I'm gonna wear heels all day,
Yeah.
running them and all that. And I was like, okay, this is kind of funny, but it just like brought to my mind how awful it must be to wear heels just to go out and do something that you're supposed to be enjoying in the first place. Like,
Right.
imagine like people in the comments were like, oh, this is cool and all, but imagine dancing for 4 hours in heels. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, if it sucks that much, why the fuck are you doing it? Nobody
Right.
really cares about it. I don't think any men are like, oh my god, if she's wearing heels, she's fucking, that's it. No, like, if anything, it makes it worse, because if you're like just a little bit taller than her and she's wearing heels that makes her at your height or taller than you, then it's like a turnoff. It's like, what the fuck? Why are you so tall?
It's not even the not necessarily even the height, but yes, to an extent it is. But I mean, I think like heels are kind of like the shoe equivalent of shoulder pads.
Where it's like a lie.
Not just that, but like it is trying to emulate something that is not as feminine. It's supposed to be asserting some sort of dominance.
Yeah, why are you doing that? Because like height is, no matter how you cut it, like a form of dominance in like a relationship like that. So if the woman's taller than you because she's wearing heels, it's like, wait, what are you trying to do? What's the deal here?
Exactly.
And like the thing is, they want taller men too. So it's like, why are you making it harder for you to find a man that's taller than you?
Hey, we want equal pay to men, but we also want men to make more than us if we're going to be with them.
I'm gonna fucking kill myself. Jesus Christ. Oh shit, I forgot. I'm going to unalive myself. Every time I come across like a reel or like a portion of the podcast or something like that where somebody says shit like that, there's like my tolerance for cognitive dissonance. It's just going so much lower, which is a good thing, I guess. But it's so bad, man. I can't do it anymore. I'm done.
Yeah.
This is it. This is the last episode.
MGTOW. Greg the MGTOW now.
No. There is a solution.
Rice cell?
It's what?
Rice cell?
What does that mean?
It's just being an incel, but it's like for Asians.
Can they even be incels? I mean, they don't.
They're
really
rice cells.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
but they're kind of incels by default.
Yeah. The solution is leave.
Yeah.
Passport bros, we up. But yeah, the other thing is, I don't know about you guys. I was watching this podcast. I might as well just drop it. I was watching like whatever the other day. And the guy, Brian, he brings up the idea of like makeup being a deception, which I agree with, but I never really thought about it as intensely as this. So what are your guys' thoughts on makeup? Is it a deception, and is it necessary, or is it like a boost, or is it like, the opposite, like a negative or whatever for you guys?
I don't think it looks good. Like it makes you look artificial.
Like general makeup, I guess.
Okay, but you realize that most women who like women can put on makeup, but that makes them look like it's natural. So you can't even tell. I mean, like most of the time, you don't see women like completely without makeup.
Even so, it's not good for your skin. It's going to make you look worse over time. It's going to be, I mean, a lot of the fucking beauty products women use are endocrine disruptors. So it's fucking with their hormones. So I mean, like all the shit women are using are just like fucking with them. So if you have natural beauty, like I'd rather have that over like you putting on makeup over that. Like if you're ugly, I mean, you're just ugly. You're fucked. I mean, so
there's a line where it's passable. Obviously, like a little bit isn't going to kill you, like in terms of like just physical attraction. But like most of the time when you go to places that are pretty much like de facto for finding people, like either for hookup culture or for like a girlfriend, places like that, you'll see the girls and they'll try to blend it so it doesn't look as bad, but you can still see it. Their face looks like they have got like fucking mud on them. Like it's very visible that that's not their real face, and it ends up just making them look like a clown. So it's like, I'd rather you look like you have a little bit of blemishes on your face and maybe
Mhm.
not as good as not like a fucking doll like all the other women in this area, as opposed to it being like, I don't know, you look like a clown, like literally. And thought about this too because we were talking about how you can tell when someone is or isn't a woman, and that's another thing. Like I was thinking about this, and I was like, well, yeah, the makeup kind of fucks them up because they don't know how to do makeup. But then I started thinking about it even more. I was like, well, women don't even really know how to do makeup because it still looks like shit.
Yeah. But the thing is, like, I have more of a problem with like the caked up like skin rather than like, well, I mean, I know like lips are technically skin, but I'm just saying like as opposed to lipstick or like eyelashes, even if they're just like not excessive, like, like black women do it excessively.
No, the eyelashes look gross, especially when you know why the eyelashes exist.
I'm just saying like if it's a little bit longer than normal, it's not a problem. But if it's like the big ones, then yeah, it sucks. But I'm just saying, like, I have more of a problem with like the makeup over the actual like skin to cover the blemishes.
Like foundation and whatnot.
Yeah, the foundation, like I don't like that specifically. And honestly, if you have blemishes and it covers it up, it just looks like your skin is bumpy now, and it really doesn't even look that good. And if you are in those club lights, I don't even know, like unless it's really dark, it's gonna make you look all right, I guess. But like if there's a light shining on your face, it does not look good. It does not look like skin. It is just it's weird.
It looks fucking gross, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
Like it looks like you have like the greasiest face in the world.
Right.
It's like that is not attractive. Like, I mean, obviously I can understand you're a woman and you just have makeup on. I'm not gonna say no if a girl's like got cake face and she's like, decently attractive, but it's still gonna be lingering in the back of my mind. This is kind of gross,
Yeah.
And like going back to like the whatever thing, the host was talking about it and he was like, one time I was cuddling or like holding a girl up to me or whatever, and I got like a fucking mess on my shirt because of the amount of makeup she had on.
I don't
which is
like
ridiculous.
That, yeah.
Like, come on, man. And again, it doesn't even look good. And on top of that, it's clogging your pores, so it makes you have like worse skin. So then you got to keep putting more on, and then it's like a cycle.
Okay, look, here's the advice. I'll give it advice to women, right? And then I'll let Ryan speak. But you got to drop all these fucking like soaps and shit that with the parabens and the phthalates and all that and the fucking like the makeup with like all these unnatural things in them, all these chemicals. Stop putting that on your fucking skin. Okay, use I use the only soap I'll ever use on my face is this. It's like CeraVe. And it's like some of the least amount of like chemicals in something. I think the active ingredient is salicylic acid. I think that's how you pronounce it, which is like something you find in fruit as well. And I mean, really at that, like, I only use that maybe once a day. And even so, like, I don't really necessarily need any more than that other than I put tallow and honey on my face. Tallow is great because it's like an oil you can use where it's not even like clogging the pores. It as opposed to something even like coconut oil does clog the pores, but tallow does not. My face has never been clearer ever since I started using that and just dropped face soaps in general, like most of them. And also just fucking eat right, get your gut right. Lower the amount of excess estrogen you have. So I'd probably say either take progesterone or eat the carrot salad or eat some well-boiled mushrooms, like something like that could probably help you a lot there as well. Like get your hormones right in general and stop putting shit on your face. And then you will be better, women. Okay. I don't think any women even listen to the show, but for the ones that probably do, or maybe do, I'm just going to tell this to you straight.
You put honey on your face?
A little bit of honey in the tallow.
Oh, so you mix it together?
Yeah, I put like a little bit of honey in the mix. It tastes great. Like I have to stop myself from eating it. It tastes so good.
Would it have the same effect if like you just used honey as opposed to the tallow?
The honey would make your skin sticky. So I only use a little bit of honey. It really adds a nice scent. And then, I mean, honestly, it probably is good. Like it is good for the skin, but it's not like what I would primarily put on my skin. The tallow is better because it's like a balm almost where like you can just put it on and it like sinks into the skin and then it just stays there all day.
All right.
Whereas the honey, I'd like have to wash that off after some time.
I gotcha. So just to clarify, I'm not against like all makeup or whatever. And I mean, I was watching I got to stop like plugging other podcasts. I was watching another show where somebody was like arguing about that. Actually, I think it was the same show. Actually, never mind.
I remember that
show. Yeah, and like they had a guest and he was talking about, well, actually, makeup goes back for centuries and then yada yada yada. And I mean, he's right, but it wasn't always like how it is now. Like so like just to clarify, I don't think there's anything wrong with like lipstick or like eyeliner and stuff like
Mhm.
that. But I mean, it really is just the stuff that's like on your like face itself that's like the issue.
Well, that's what
It
I'm
just
saying as
doesn't look
well. Like
right.
I am also less against the lipstick and the eyeliner, though I think like, you know, obviously they're going to have chemicals in them too. I'd say just use like, you know, the most natural thing possible. And then it's not even a problem because what you're putting on your skin isn't damaging it.
The Egyptians use coal.
That's what I'm saying. So like if you're using something like that, where it's not actually like irritating or like, you know, causing these hormone disruptions, you know, it doesn't even really matter at that point. I don't even really think of it like I think my problem isn't even necessarily with the deception. I think it's like it indicates like an improper health, you know, because I associate it with the like the imbalanced hormones and like, you know, skin issues which are stemming not just from the use of those, but from other problems that have to do with your environment and what you're putting in your body, which are actually leading to the breakouts in the first place. So, I mean, that is kind of what makes me like turned off by it.
Hold on. I'm gonna double down on this actually. Makeup is a fucking weapon of destruction. I will tell you this fully and unabashedly. I don't think I used that word properly, but anyway,
Yes, you did.
yeah, I did.
Yeah.
All right, we'll go. Anyway, if makeup usually isn't able to turn someone that's hideous into something good, but they can make someone that's hideous passable,
Hmm.
especially if you've had a few drinks. And that is
So
a crime against humanity.
you
That
think
should be in
ugly?
the Geneva
Hold on.
Conventions.
You think ugly women are the trans women of women?
I mean, yeah. If you're ugly, so listen. Think about this. If you're ugly as a woman, what other traits would you have besides being anti-feminine, which would really just turn around back to being masculine?
What?
Well, I mean, in general, like if you're an ugly woman, you just look masculine.
Oh, okay. I see.
Yeah, it'll be
Have
like the
you
same way the other way around. Like a feminine. Well, never mind. It doesn't really work the other way around because of birth control. But you know what I mean.
have you seen that video? I don't know if I sent it to you guys, but it's like this like guy on a reel. Like it's a black guy. He's like it's like when you get close
Game
to your
is
girl's.
game.
Yeah, well, no, it's not that guy. When you get
Oh.
close to your girl and you see her face and like you see that little mustache, and he's like rapping along to a song. He's like, "That's not my girl, that's my nigga."
No, I haven't seen that one. But yeah, like that's a good example. Like, if you're in an area with a lot of Hispanic females, I don't know what it is. It must be the food that they eat, but it's like a trend, specifically like Mexican women. I don't know why.
The
They
native
tend to.
genes.
It probably is, yeah. They tend to have more hair above the lip than most other women. Maybe it could just be
Yeah.
that like white women are better at like, you know, shaving or whatever in that area, but I don't think that's the case. I
And
think
arm
it is
hair.
like an anomaly there or whatever. And it's just so not good. Not good
The
at
arm hair
all.
isn't as bad, but yeah, they have arm hair as well generally.
Yeah. Well, that's like a Middle Eastern thing too.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah,
I
I
think
don't
that has to be the diet actually, because
You think
Mediterranean
it's
diet really. If you look at it, remember when that one guy we were talking about of diet with, he sent like that chart of the Mediterranean diet. If you look at it now, or when I looked at it now, a lot of those foods are like emphasizing DHT, which is why like a lot of people in like Italy, Greece, that region, they tend to
Hmm.
bald a lot, but they're also still really hairy.
Well, DHT doesn't cause baldness. It's Saladino actually talked about that. It's primarily like a nutrient deficiency.
Right. But I mean, they're eating a shit ton of vegetables is the thing.
Yeah. So I mean, those do have defense chemicals. Those are going to cause some of that. They're going to cause like, you know, to lose some of the nutrients. But the DHT isn't actually the cause of the baldness. But yeah,
From
no,
what
I
I remember,
understand.
it was the way the DHT is processed, like whether or not
Okay.
it turns into testosterone or estrogen.
Okay. So basically, if it does turn into estrogen, that's when it's the problem.
No, when it turns into estrogen, it promotes hair growth, like your scalp hair. But if it turns into
How is that? Because testosterone promotes hair growth. That's why men have like
maybe it
thicker
was the
eyelashes.
testosterone. No, wait. It might have not been estrogen and testosterone. It might have been like something in one of those two, and like cortisol, something like that. I don't remember. I got to rewatch it, but
I
it
would
was
assume
something
estrogen
along the
because usually
lines.
estrogen, like excess estrogen, is when like problems are actually caused. You know, there a while back, Ryan was going to say something, and I didn't even let him say it. Like I was going on my rant about something. What's up,
I'm gonna
Ryan?
let you finish, but
Brian?
What's up?
I was saying geez, man, I said I interrupted you a while back. I wanted to let you finish what you were saying.
No, sorry. I fucking forgot what I was even
Yeah,
gonna
I
say at this
assume
point.
so. It's
'Cause
been so long.
Yeah.
But anyway, thoughts on this in general?
I mean, generally, well, I mean, just to go tie back to maybe the whole Mexican women and their fucking lip shit. In general, I just don't know why. I just don't like Latina women in general.
Whoa!
Bruh,
Whoa!
he used fucking the example of women with more native blood that are like browner to say like I don't like Latinas. Like what the fuck
What
is
the
this?
fuck? You know, I was
No, it's not. No, it's not even like the skin color thing. It's just like I just don't know
we
why.
didn't even
It
say
just give
that.
me an ick.
No, I did because I'm saying he's
Yeah, no,
thinking
he
about the
did.
ones that had
Yeah,
more native blood.
Oh, I mean,
yeah, but even
yeah, that's
then,
still
like
kind of hilarious coming from him.
I don't
But
know why. I just genuinely don't know. It's just something about them that they just give me the ick. I don't know why.
I can explain it. Although it'll
Sure.
get like really triggering here, so I probably shouldn't go into it here. But
No,
so
do
you're
it.
saying if you saw a woman, like for example, like the stereotypical Mexican woman I said, but like let's imagine she has like a good figure and all that, and you see like a woman that's looks white, but then she starts speaking to you in like a thick like Spanish accent, you'd be turned off by that.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Bruh.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
He does not want a Latina mommy.
No.
You know what? All right,
I
I'm
mean,
gonna turn the tables here.
like
What
okay,
are
like
you looking for, Gosling?
okay. Well, just to touch on the Hispanic thing again. Like it's not that like I wouldn't date one or even like have a relationship with one. It's just that like just in general, they're a lot lower on my list than like most other ethnicities.
Tell us.
But in general, like I'm I'm into white women for the most part. Just white
You said
women, yeah.
white women.
Yeah.
You
Like mo
understand
like
that that would
like
include
mo
some Latinas, right?
like mostly just American women. Yeah, okay, well, I guess I should specify like non-Latina white women.
Bruh.
He's playing the uphill battle game. I mean, come on, let's just rip the Band-Aid off here. We all know it. I know it. You know it. Everybody knows it.
The
You're not
what?
racist. It's just the high maintenance and all that.
Yeah.
Because like it's usually white women. Jesus, this really is just turning into like a red pill podcast. Anyway, it's usually
No,
white
it's fine.
women where they go to college, they get these ideals of like rabid feminism and all that. You know, I need to fight this, that, and the other. And then at the same time, though, they still want a man to make more money. They still want a man to be this, then the other. At the same time, going out of their way to promote things that would necessarily hinder a man's ability to do this. So even if, like, let's say you found like a really hot white woman, and I'm not saying it's like all women, it's like definitely probably a minority, like a vocal minority, if anything. But if you find but like even then, even the ones that aren't like fully into it, they take little pieces of it still. If you find like a really hot white woman, right, and she's good and all this, that, and the other, she's going to expect you to have like the traditional roles of a man, right? But then at the same time, she's going to say stuff like, well, I should be allowed to work. I should be able to go out with my girlfriends. Why do you have a problem with this? If you have standards on me, it's going to be, you're just insecure and that kind of stuff. So, whereas if you date like someone from like, I don't know, a Middle Eastern background, maybe not the best idea considering their track record, or best example, I should say, a Middle Eastern background, Latina background, and even like a traditional, like, I don't know, Asian or like African or even like Eastern European background, these things don't seem to be as much of a problem. Like if I say, hey, I prefer, you know, if you didn't go to the club with your girls with cake face in skimpy dresses in a way that's definitely going to attract other guys, then they're not going to be like, what do you mean? You're insecure or whatever. They're probably just going to be like, more than likely, oh, no, yeah, I get it. This is a kind of a dumb idea.
Yeah. I mean, but in general, like I'm not even well, okay, I mean this also might be a different perspective, but I don't want to get married or have kids also. So,
Okay, I get the first part. I don't know about the second part, though.
oh, the married
Well,
thing?
I think because
Yeah, to have
he's not
kids.
saying married is in just the idea that it's like you don't have you don't have a contractor. It's not under like the government or anything. He's basically saying here that he doesn't want a woman to spend his life with, like one woman.
Yeah.
Or
Okay,
even
yeah,
like,
you should have specified it like that.
or even having the one woman and then having other women on the side. Like he does not want to have one woman that he spends a significant amount of time with in general.
So
Yeah,
you want to
pretty
be
much.
a perennial player?
I mean, if you want to call it that, sure. But I mean, yeah, I don't really want to get married at all or
You
anything
should
like
change your
that,
name to
really.
George Clooney.
For real?
Sure. And again, it's not. It's like I used to want to get married for the longest time, but it just like I got completely turned off of it after a lot of experience and a lot of like personal shit with family members as well.
Subtle flex.
And then
Yeah,
also just thinking about it as well.
I got a lot of
Like just thinking about it
experience, so
logically.
I don't really need that anymore.
Well, no, I mean
It's not
just
even,
like thinking about it logically, I don't think I would enjoy. I think I would like even if I found someone who I like genuinely liked to the point where it's like, oh yeah, I could sort of see this going for a long time. I feel like after a certain amount of point, I would just become miserable and get tired of them, get bored of them, etc. I mean, and then there's also the problem of okay, you find the love of your life who you think that you're gonna literally die with, and then 8 years in, she cheats or something just completely unexpected happens, like she starts like shifting her personality, mood swings, just becomes a completely different person.
well, that's probably a
Not like
problem with
quite. I
estrogen.
mean, you've literally heard about stories that's like, oh yeah, no, like like I'm married no longer to the woman who I fell in love with. I mean, and that could also happen to me, where like where like maybe I feel fine with her, but like she feels the same way about me, and then basically you've just sunk 8 years into nothing, or 10 years, or even like 2 decades or whatever, and then it gets also worse when you pop on children with that. To me, like just the like I get it if you like want to get married, but for me, like the concept at least of marriage quite literally just makes no sense to me. I just know that I'd be miserable at some point, or I would regret it, or just something shitty would happen.
I'll just have her be PD and then she won't be having mood swings.
Yeah.
PD.
Yeah, PD.
But also like, and
Oh,
then
oh,
with the
right.
white
Yeah,
women thing, it's
like
like
eating PD.
like this is gonna be a hot take for you guys, but like I just don't I tend to like more like independent thinking women, I guess,
Bro.
if that makes sense.
Girl boss or no?
I mean, not like a girl boss, but like I don't really like women who just are like just gonna kowtow to like whatever like a guy says or whatever, just like just completely go fucking brain dead if they're like with a guy or whatever.
Well, it's not
Like
necessarily going brain
I like
dead.
women like I like women in general who are like in higher positions in like STEM or just smarter
Why?
in general. Like that's like to
Higher
me like
positions
that's
how? Like what do you mean higher positions?
I just mean like intelligent
No,
in
but
some
define
way
higher
like
position.
um yeah, maybe I shouldn't have said higher position. I just like intelligence, to be honest, and that could be like brought out within like knowing a lot about a particular field of science, for instance.
See, but does it
Like to
really
me,
matter if it's
to me, I don't know why, but like that's more attractive to me.
Yeah, I was gonna say, does it really matter if it's intelligence in the sense of well, I mean, that's not really intelligence as much as it's just knowledge. Do you want knowledge or do you want intelligence? Because those are two
Both.
different
Yeah,
things.
yeah, I'd say both. That is a good point. I like both, to be honest.
So assuming you want a relationship with this kind of woman, is there like are there some aspects of your life where you want to be led in rather than be the leader of?
Um, Honestly, no. Um, I think like because I still like being the leader role. Like again like I'm not like I want like a femdom or some shit like that. But you know like um uh, so in general like I prefer being leader. And like even with white women, I feel like you know even if they might have like a problem with some things, like I know that like at the end of the day they are women, so they are going to at the end of the day like it is going to be like a male female dynamic at the end of the day. So it's like I
Well,
don't really care as much.
I
See,
And then
but
asked
don't
also
you
like
think?
I asked because
Don't
you
you?
state that, well, hold on. I asked that you because you state that you want intelligence. So in that respect, I'm thinking like usually intelligence is something that you use to employ uh, a sort of like means more properly toward like a more favorable outcome for yourself. And so like when you have that knowledge as you like, as the man, sort of what the woman would be looking up to is somebody that is capable when it comes to leading to a better situation. But if the woman has intelligence, I mean, it would only really make sense if you're saying like, okay, well, she needs some sort of capacity to use that to lead. Like, I don't know necessarily what would be the purpose in having her like be so intelligent necessarily, without that being the case, other than, I mean, I don't know if you say like maybe you want some sort of more intellectual conversations, but at that point, why can't you get that from the men
I
Unless
was gonna
I'm
add on
unless
to that
I'm
actually.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say if a woman is in like a traditional submissive position, that necessarily means she's not intelligent. Because like let me just like break it down. So there's a difference between knowledge and intelligence. Knowledge would be like, oh, I know how X and Y not chromosome cells make this and like science and like math skills, stuff like that. But intelligence is basically the ability to follow a logical chain consistently and make logical conclusions given the evidence that you have. So
let me kind of rephrase what I was saying then, because when I say intelligence, I was more so referring to like knowledge of information and sort of like having been well studied. And so basically what I'm thinking is like, okay, honestly, yes, I would want an intelligent woman in the sense that like she can understand what I'm saying to her and take the advice I give her because she knows, like, she can understand why that's good for her. I like that. That's good, because then she's going to be more inclined to actually follow what you're saying if you're making proper arguments, if you're making like proper points, and if you're just like being a rational person. That is good. But I'm just wondering, like, why is it the case that you would be looking for a woman that has all of this information that she's aware of, or like understanding of like different fields that have to do not necessarily with logical thought, but just like processes that happen in nature, or like if you're talking about like STEM or something like that, or just understanding how to engineer something, like what use would that be?
Right. And to go back to that, like, I don't think it's necessarily like a deal breaker if that's like the case. Cause like, I mean, it's also part of like the society we live in. We live in a society.
Well, it's more so just asking what why is it felt that this is a better trait to have than not?
Right. Like, I understand what you're talking about, but I just wanted to give like I guess a disclaimer that like it's kind of pushed for everybody to go to college, and they usually pick, and it's like, oh, well, if you're going to go to college, you need to get a good degree, so that it actually makes sense to spend the money on it, which, I mean, I'll push back on that, actually. I think if you get like even the shittiest degree, but you know what you're doing, like after college, it's probably, it's still not a great financial idea, but it's not like a total waste necessarily.
Right.
Depends on how you work with it. Because I mean, you and I don't exactly have like hard science degrees yet. We're still, well, hold on. Right now, maybe I'm not the best example. But anyway,
okay. So it allows for more upward mobility within society right now, just because sort of like, well, if you're looking for a corporate job, especially, they have incentives to essentially just bar people that don't have that from attaining jobs more of the time. So even if you have any degree, they'll see you as more favorable to somebody that has no degree. And I mean, also socially speaking, just because of these things that have been implemented, because the way things have been organized, people generally see it like as more favorable. You kind of gain a social status with it. So even if you want to start a business, you could say, I majored in this in college, I know about this field. And that also helps you with like, if you want to be an entrepreneur with potential clients.
Right, exactly. But to bring it back to like the woman thing, those are all valid points, by the way. Bring it back to the woman thing again. I don't think it's necessarily a disqualifier, but like as our other buddy here was saying, like, or I don't know, yeah, your name is actually here. As Ahmed is saying, like, why would you find that to be something that's a necessity? Like the logical framework where she's intelligent and is able to understand why you're saying the things you want, as opposed to just being a zombie. That makes sense to me. Because then she's able to understand it. She's able to actually understand, okay, this is why he's saying you should do this. This makes sense. I'll actually follow what he's saying. Or maybe you're a bad man. Maybe you said something really stupid and she's like, actually, this is kind of retarded. Let me not do that. And then she leaves you or whatever. I mean, that's a good trait to have. But like in terms of just hard sciences or stuff like that, or just being knowledgeable about things like that, like STEM or whatever, why do you find that attractive necessarily? Like what gain do you have from that? Because like, let's be honest, the things that you find attractive and the things that you desire, even outside of attraction, are only valuable to you because they have some form of benefit or value to you in one way or another. So are you able to break down why you find that attractive?
Yeah, and actually, what might be clear is that I think it's more that I like women with common interests, but those interests also include like higher reasoning skills. So I like I guess in general I like nerdy women when it comes to either just like nerdy subjects within the social sciences in general, or with regards to like media or music or things like that. So I think like I think what I like in women is sort of the same or almost sort of the same things that like why I would form friendships with men in the same way that like men form relationships around common interests. And that to me, forming a relationship around like, oh, we have all these same interests and passions, that to me is very attractive because I feel like it's someone that I can like connect to and like emotionally and also um knowledge wise impart and share ideas back and forth, if that makes sense.
My thought
See, but then
process.
the question is, why can't you just do that with your friends? Like, I'm
I
not saying
can,
it's a
I
bad
can, but
thing to do with your
but with
wife or
women,
whatever, but
it's a but with women, it is ultimately a completely different experience. So you get that same connection with regards to like common passions and interests, because I don't think there needs to be like a dichotomy between like, oh, you can only talk about these things with your male friends, you know. Like with if I see it with a woman, then that's just adding to another person. I can also talk about these things with my significant other instead of like having to just like, oh, actually, this would be actually a very good like explanation, at least for me, is that like if she weren't interested in those things, then like I would have to like bury or like not talk about certain things in front of her, even though that's like a part of who I am, if that makes sense. It would be
I
the
wouldn't
same
say
if like
that's go on.
sure, I'll just let you go ahead with
Okay.
that.
I wouldn't say that's necessarily true because a woman tends to like a man that has hobbies and interests, even if they're not necessarily directly tied to, provisioning and whatnot. So, like, if I'm
Hmm.
like talking to a woman and I'm talking about, like, for example, oh man, I really love like a Patrick Bateman thing. This album was actually really great. Not a lot of people see the potential behind it,
Right,
but
right, yeah, yeah.
that kind of shit. Like, some women might not care about that. Probably not the woman you want. Uh, but like a lot of women would see, oh, he's interested in this. He's got the knowledge behind it. He's actually taken the time to understand what's going on here, and that would be a sign of intelligence, which intelligence transfers to the ability to reason, and the ability to reason is how you know how to be a good protector and provisioner. It all ties back to your logical framework, basically. So I don't think you
Right.
necessarily have to drop that. Like if you're like really into an album or if you're really into a movie or something like that, I don't think that's necessarily a turnoff or something that a woman wouldn't have any benefit from hearing. She might not be able to like hold the conversation with you, but you would definitely be
Yeah,
interested in it most of the time. And here's the other thing I wanted to mention. You mentioned social sciences and like media in particular. I don't think that's necessarily a masculine trait for a woman to be into. Like for me personally, like if I had like a woman that was like really into like classical music, for example, I would find that very attractive because it's not necessarily a male or feminine thing to be into those kinds of things. And especially when you get into social sciences, that is like a female dominated kind of field pretty much, when you're talking about like psychology, even philosophy to some extent, stuff like that. That's a lot more of a feminine kind of thing than it's say, I don't know, learning math and like science and stuff like that, or like going into like hard stuff like engineering and whatnot.
I mean, honestly, at least with me, I've seen more women interested in the natural sciences than I have in the social sciences. Like for instance, like I don't see any women like in the philosophy department or econ or I mean, I think the only social science that like most women seem to be into is like psychiatry and psychology
Right, because those are
and like
nurturing
other things.
positions.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't really
I mean, like
classify
I
philosophy
kind
under
of
the
see
same thing
that.
as those.
No, yeah, I was thinking
Sure.
about it too, and I was thinking, yeah, that there's a lot of things that you would have to do in terms of like creating arguments and stuff like that, where they're not necessarily unfeminine, but they're not really becoming of a feminine person.
Right.
The more I
It's
think
like the
Um
about it,
soft version of becoming a lawyer.
pretty much, yeah, because that is what it is basically. So yeah, so I
yeah,
rescind that last point actually.
but anyway, to the point that you addressed, I think that actually highlights it because personally, I don't want to like have a sponge of like what I'm saying and like what
What?
I'm interested in.
Like
What?
someone
As
that
a
would
sponge.
absorb the information rather than
Like,
being
I
able
was
to.
thinking like sponge, like the birth control.
yeah, no. I mean like the idea of like, oh, like, because I know that either way, she, like, if we were connecting or whatever, and like she was into me, even if she like wasn't interested in those hobbies, she would be interested in the fact that I'm interested in it and like want to hear about it, and like maybe like want to try to get it, but like, you know, not understanding or anything, or not being able to like have a back and forth. But I like that back and forth. I like that back and forth discussion of like bouncing ideas off of each other. To me, like that is actually way more interesting, because it feels like if I'm just like spouting off my interests, it feels like I'm talking to a wall, like not even a real person at that point.
You know, speaking of the birth control thing, you know, and the sponges, you know, you remember how Zerka was talking about how like, you know, semen like is like a transfer of DNA when it's absorbed by another person. So like that's why like gay people are incredibly intelligent and like all the elites actually have gay sex. So
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, I don't know if I if I buy that.
you know, well, anyway, but the point being is like, so my thought process here is like, if he's doing the fucking, the sponge is going to absorb the semen and it's going to stop her from absorbing the information. So he actually wants to raw dog it.
Oh yeah, and by the way as well, like I personally like the idea of me being more intelligent than her. Like in general, like that's a thing that I like. And I think
Is
most
that
men, and most men generally like this as well. Like you've seen it with like polls where it's like, if
Poles? What about the Germans?
okay. But anyway, like there have been studies where it's like they'll do like 100 different mock-up dates, and the guy who feels that they were more intelligent than her will automatically consider her to be more attractive, or if they consider her to be less intelligent, whereas the women, it's the opposite way around. If the woman sees the man as more intelligent, then she's way more, then it basically almost correlates perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, but doesn't that contradict what you said you wanted in a woman then?
No, like I want but it's with being more intelligent than her. I think that all men generally feel the same way. Not that like I think there is I think it's just the amount of intelligence that you have is a spectrum. So personally, like I would prefer her intelligence to be closer to mine rather than further away in general.
So intelligence is not like what you place at the top of values as far as what you want from a woman, or what you value from a woman, because, you know, otherwise you would want her to be as intelligent as possible.
Yeah, no. Yeah, it's not like at the top of my hierarchy of values. It's just a thing that I do value more than most other men, because I feel like most other men don't like women to be like as intelligent as they are or near that level.
I
I think they
mean,
generally like women to like, because I think men tend to prefer the leading role, and I do
right.
too, but I don't think that having them be as intelligent as me or even to that extent um precludes me from being within that leader role, because I know that most women that I'm gonna find, I will know a lot of things that they will have no idea on, but their ability to find that interesting and be like, oh, I'm interested in that area of study, but you know way more about that area of study than I do. I want to follow you, and like I understand what you're saying and I completely agree. Like you
Well, I would
changed
say
my
where
mind on something.
where it would primarily handicap you for her to be smarter is not just in general like knowing more information on any given topic, but those topics which are what you would use as which you would employ, like the information from those topics in order to be in that leader role. So like things that would directly correlate to being that would be the things I think that are most crucial.
Yeah, so I mean, so like if she was, let's say, intelligent in the sense of like and knowledgeable, in the sense that I don't know, she was an engineer for some odd reason, right? She goes into the engineering field. She knows all about engineering, but I know nothing about engineering. That would be fine with me, genuinely. Like I don't think I would really care or mind. I think honestly, the only thing that would bother me would just be like her being interested in engineering and me not being interested in engineering at all. I think that would be the more like deal breaker thing to me. Not that like she's making money or like in a position of high authority.
So optimally, you share all the same interests.
Not like all, but generally, yeah. I mean, that's as far as like preferences go. Like, obviously, I'm not gonna like mind dating or like I can form connections with women, who like don't share all the same interests as me. Totally.
But I mean, if you
But
were with
generally, like that's gonna put her up in the value scale of like what I would be interested in.
I think what
along
you're
with a
just,
lot of other things as well, you know.
I think what you're disregarding here is that, you know, if you find a woman who isn't necessarily like, you know, what we're calling like, you know, having that information, I guess we can move on from calling that intelligence and instead say, you know, having that information in topics. You know, if she doesn't have a very high amount of that and doesn't have extremely fleshed out like interests and so on, like she's going to gravitate towards your interests over time. So if you were to build a relationship with a woman who doesn't necessarily share most of your interests, I mean, if she has that sort of like attraction to you and respects you in that leadership role, she's going to start sort of, you know, almost becoming like a mini me of you.
Okay, so I do agree with you. I think that if she were to, here's the difference though, is that I would want her to develop and like actually have those same interests instead of liking the fact that I'm interested in those things and just sort of sponging up information and like maybe having a few back and forths. But
But
like,
why?
huh?
But why do you not? Why do you like them like coming pre-built, like as far as the interests go?
Well, I mean, because I feel like it's less work, I guess. I mean, maybe not less work, but like
I mean,
you
so
have those qualities off the beginning. Like, okay, like
I
let's
think,
say let's take there was a quality in a woman that you liked, but while you started dating her, she would only develop that quality after a certain amount of time. I think it would make more sense that you'd want that quality now as opposed to later.
well, I mean, I think her tits are going to stay the same size, but
Well,
you know,
yeah. But like,
what I was going to point out, fuck, what was I going to point out? I just had it there. Oh yeah, well, having to do with
well, you want to
the
know why?
interest. Yeah, I had something I was going to say about that. I'm trying to think. Fuck. Okay.
You wanted to know like what
Oh
you
yeah,
wanted
no,
to
no,
know like
I got it.
yeah,
So basically, my thought here is that because you don't want a long, like, in the sense, long-term relationship, as in like decades, right, or a decade even. Like
yeah.
maybe you would say probably in the couple years or less. I don't know, is how long you'd want to be with a given woman, perhaps. Like let's say, but I think because you sort of have this well, I don't want to necessarily attribute it to some sort of fear of commitment, but I would say like, you know, lack of willingness to commit for a given amount of time. You would have a sort of like your time preference would change in the sense of like you want her to come pre-built so that you don't have to invest more time into it. So it's, if anything, it's like, you know, like I guess like higher time preference of you in a sense.
Sure.
So I mean, if
I
that
mean, so
makes sense, then that would make more sense as to why you would want that woman to come with those interests, because you don't actually want to have to like invest all of that energy and time into a woman that you know that you won't end up with, like, you know, for life.
um yeah, but even then I feel like even if I were to end up with her in life, I mean I feel like that would, I don't know, like I wouldn't mind either way, but like having those preferences, because also if they have those same interests right off the bat, then you don't have to like guess whether or not they're going to, if that makes sense. I mean, I guess you could sort of in your conversations with her get a
Mm-hmm.
sense of like if she could develop your interests rather than just as like being a sponge or whatever, like a brick wall or whatever.
Well, I
Um,
don't think necessarily, again, like, why would that be her being a brick wall? Like, it would be more so like she takes interest in you as a person. And,
yeah, but
you know,
she's interested, like she's attracted to the fact that I have those interests rather than those interests themselves.
but even so, like, if you were to present, like, let's say she is like intelligent as far as logical thought, like, if she likes you and you were saying things which she finds to be illogical but still stays with you, I could see why that's a problem for her, at least. But you know, it's more of an idea of like, if she is just hearing these things from the first time for you, why does it matter that she hasn't been exposed to these ideas before? You are the one showing her that. It's as if you are the same, like, you know, like the people that you've read that have influenced you to do that. That is what you are being for her.
Um, no, okay, so maybe a better way to parse this out would be that like I would like I don't mind if she doesn't have the same knowledge, but I think the same general interests of the area and like general intelligence
But
would
the
be
interests
what
stem
I'd
from
be
the
more
knowledge you
interested in.
have.
Not necessarily, like you could be
You
very
can't be
interested
interested in
within the
something you
social.
know nothing about.
No, okay, you could be interested like within the social sciences, know something about a particular branch of the social sciences, but not know other things within that branch, if that makes sense.
But what are you exactly saying as far as that, what that has to do with like her having common interest to you? Because like you're saying, like, okay, so let's say I guess music is an interest of hers, but she doesn't like any of the artists you like because she hasn't heard them, for example. Let's say like she doesn't know of them, but she is interested in music a lot and she is kind of nerdy about the music she likes. Like you're saying this is a preferable trait to have regardless.
Oh yeah, definitely. I
You're
think
saying because of the
well,
interest in music itself, like that is what
yeah,
attracts you.
exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, and also like I think well music is a little different because music taste like okay, let's say like she's a big music head, but like she's only into metal. Like I don't know how much I would really
Curious.
fuck with that because I'm not that much of a metalhead. I think what I'd be more interested is like she likes music in general, but like if I were to like show her some of the music that I liked, she would like enjoy it and be open to it and want to like listen to it with me, you know? And then
Yeah, I
we
was
could like
gonna
discover
ask
music together. Because
on
here's
that
the thing, like
point.
I like having like a journey of like doing things together, and I still like being in that like leader, that stereotypical like male leader role. But generally, I like the back and forth reciprocal thing, and I like the idea of also getting new insights from her as well. Like I like that. I also like that idea too.
I was going to ask if she's a big music head, right?
Sure.
Which is, if that's even a term. But she's into music that you personally find abhorrent. Is that still a plus that she's into music, or is it still
Um,
dependent on what you actually find valuable in
That's a good
music
question.
as a whole?
It okay, so it would it be if she's only into like if she is like only into a particular genre of music and like wouldn't be interested in the music that I show her, like wouldn't
Okay,
like that at all.
Let's say
let's
first.
say let's say
Go on.
there's like a common sort of like thread of like music throughout her taste that you find particularly bad, like as far as the content of the music and the way it sounds, like you find it ugly.
Okay, but other
It's not
music that she has
necessarily
that but
it's
like
not
other
necessarily all that she listens to, but it is like the majority, let's say.
um okay, would she be open to like um the music that I like in general or
Well, it depends on
like
how
the
much of a
music that I like?
disparity there would be between what you like and what she likes. If you find it ugly, that would imply that there's probably a big disparity. So the likelihood is probably not extremely high, although not impossible.
Um I would on okay, so I would find it less interesting or like less something that we could connect on because that would but I feel but the common interest of just loving music and having a passion of music over a lot of other things, that I think that we could at the very least connect on even though it wouldn't be the same things. So preferably I think I would like it to be the same things or at the very least she's open to the things that I like, if that makes sense.
Could you say that again, actually?
Yeah, so like I think it would be nice that she has the same underlying passion for music, even though we're not interested in the same genre. So that in and of itself would be a plus, even though it wouldn't be like a very big plus. The bigger plus would also be the fact that she does have a passion for music, but she either is interested in the things that I'm interested in, um, music wise, or would be open to being introduced to the music that I like.
So let me really give you like the logical conclusion on this, I guess. So if you had two women, right, and let's say they look exactly the same, you're into
Okay.
them for the most part, like
Okay.
equally, and one woman is really into music though, but she only likes or mostly likes stuff that you just cannot get behind in any way, shape, or form for whatever reason. But there's another woman that doesn't really care about music that much. Like she'll listen to like top 10 Billboard shit, but people that listen to that don't actually really care about it. So she's like that, but because of that, she's more open to, and it's not a guarantee, but she's more open to the idea of liking the music you like. Which one would you prefer then? The one that's into music, but music that you hate, or the one that's not into music, but is able to be molded into what music you like?
That's a good question. I think that because here's the thing, I like both, so I like the combination of both, but if I had to pick one, I think I would pick the person who maybe isn't as much into music, but would be more into the things that I like, because that way we can actually share more common interests.
Okay.
Because there's more of like a commonality like we can relate to. Because I like being like able to relate to the women that I'm with. I like being able to like relate to the women that I'm with, and the less things that the less common interests that they have, the less relation and connection that I have to them.
I would just pick the top 10 one because she's moldable.
Yeah,
exactly.
It would be better to have someone that doesn't have the same interests as opposed to someone that has opposing interests.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
And also, like, she's a generic person. It's like she can adapt to you.
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say
the other one, because the other one's very intentional, right? Like the other one has like deeply rooted, like sort of like her life into this, like not necessarily like saying like she has invested like most of her life into this music. I'm just saying sort of like her mental state and like her values are very influenced by sort of the content she's consuming. And so like when she's putting herself into that, either it's reflecting that she already was in that mental state, or it's sort of like influencing her to adopt that mental state.
Right. But here's the thing too. I like that. I like the very idea of her having that passion and that interest and love of music in general. Again, even though it isn't the same music that I like, I can appreciate that as someone who like, oh, hey, I grew up with this. I have this deep passion for this more than like other topics. Like, I don't know.
So is it the
like
fact that she has passions in general, or is it specifically the passions that you have that you look for?
It's both. It's both.
But which one would you say is more important, though?
I would say being able to adapt to the passions that I have.
So if it's adapting, then she doesn't necessarily even have to have your passions or passions at all necessarily.
Yeah.
It would just have to be the potentiality of passion.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So fair Ryan enough. Gosling, you have Riz, right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Yeah. Can you tell us about some of your rizzing?
Like, are you asking for something specific, or?
Well, you know, just like your accounts, your accounts, your stories, your tales, if anything.
No, I mean, I actually don't really have. I don't really talk to a lot of women in general.
You're telling me every time you're talking to a woman, you're telling me about it.
Oh, actually, no. Okay, that isn't true. I'm talking to like 3 right now.
Bruh, this guy, he's telling me he's like talking to these girls. He told me he impressed one with knowledge. You know, he used knowledge to impress one of them.
Knowledge.
Yeah. There was another one he was talking about that she was a baddie, except for, you know, it turned out, you know, you can tell that story if you want. If you don't want to, you don't have to, but it's funny.
Oh yeah, like, well, yeah, like I was initially interested in her and then found out that basically she only has guy friends.
And why does she only have guy friends?
I don't know the reason why women have guy friends.
The reason.
I think a lot
of it. No, but didn't she tell you?
Oh yeah, it was just because fuck. Well, actually, wait, I fucking forgot the the reason.
Because she said she liked the attention.
Oh yeah. I don't know why I was just a brain fart. I knew that, but it was just a brain fart. Yeah.
He found a woman who was like pretty bad, but like yeah, she only has guy friends. And I mean, honestly, like, look, you know, it's not an insult to your perception of as far as like, you know, what kind of women to go after, but like just the fact that like her public story that you showed me, kind of like the way she's dressed in it, it's like you can tell who she's trying to get some attention from. It's not not like the most like, okay, it's subtle a bit, kind of. It's not necessarily subtle, but like the reason I use that word is because she's not literally in her underwear, or she's not literally shaking ass, but she has shorts on. She's at home. She has like the short shirt on, I think, as well. Yeah. And so it's like in the position, I don't know if she was like kneeling on the bed or something like that, something along those lines, or maybe just sitting on it. But
it's like slutty without being slutty. That makes sense. Like
exactly. So it's it's wanting that attention without necessarily looking as if you are literally a streetwalker. And so
exactly. Like it's very obvious what she's trying to do.
Is it like the trad thought thing kind of?
Well, almost, I don't think she's trad in any respect.
Yeah, no. It's not like that.
But it's like the same concept of where it's like, I'm not actually showing anything, but like why you're
Well,
looking type thing.
Not exactly, because it's not like she's in a sundress with like cleavage. It's it's like the kind of girl that's like in her room all day and then she just like takes pictures in the mirror.
But okay, but the photos are revealing to some extent. Like they're not like full on bikini, but like
Right.
there is some stomach, there is some cleavage, and like fully in makeup or whatever.
Exactly. So it's like, who is she posting that for?
Yeah, exactly.
Herself, obviously.
Oh yeah, no,
Sure.
just herself. Yeah. I mean,
Sure.
honestly, I do kind of I think it is to some extent for herself, only in the sense that like I think she also
Well, it's
I
for
mean,
herself in the sense
ultimately,
that the attention inflates her ego.
right.
sure. And I think she just has a shitty ego, like just not a lot of confidence.
Now, how about we talk about a better situation? You said you rizzed up a girl using information.
I don't even when was this?
You texted me this like a few. It was around like Labor Day or something like that.
Labor Day.
It was the long weekend, and she was like, "Come over."
Oh yeah. Well, okay, well that I mean, like that I kind of thought that she was, but I don't think that she.
Bro.
What?
She wanted you to fuck.
No, she didn't.
Bro.
Like I found out later that she didn't.
Come on. So how about you lay out what
No,
happened, the
no,
interactions,
like,
and we
I
just
know
let Greg decide. We let Greg decide.
No, okay, I am like telling you that was like not her intention because she told me.
How about you just give a general idea of what it was and let Greg decide what this was?
I shall be judge and arbiter.
So here's what happened. She doesn't have a boyfriend by this point, but she does now. And basically like we're talking quite a bit. We've already hung out like a couple times in person, and out of nowhere, like I get a text from her is like, "Hey, come over. My dad's not home." And so instantly, a couple like fucking gears are turning, and I'm like, "Huh." That is like the telltale sign that like, okay, obviously she wants to fuck. But then on the other hand, I'm thinking like, I don't know. I mean, we've like only hung out a bit. Like she's shown some interest, but like I don't think she's like that type of person. Like I don't know. So like I was getting mixed vibes because it's like on the one hand, this is like the telltale sign that like, okay, yeah, definitely you want me to come over and fuck you. But on the other hand, it's like I just wasn't feeling it. I was getting like I was getting a mixed feeling at the time. So I think I texted you about it immediately, and I was like, okay, what the fuck does this mean? And you sent me that image of like the of like the train going back and forth into the not being able to fit into the tunnel or whatever. Or like that gif of like you also sent the Family Guy gif of that woman with Brian and her legs are spread and like it's that airplane trench runway, and she like has those like glow sticks directing toward her. But anyway, so so basically, I agree. Of course, I bring whatever. I bring some control or whatever, just in case. I don't like show her anything, obviously.
Some control.
Control. That is the first time I've heard that used like that.
He didn't even say protection or nothing. Some control. I bring some control. That's how you know he's got a handle on the situation.
But anyway,
some control.
I got a control in this situation. So anyway, like again, just in case, I'm not like expecting anything, but just in case, I go over, and then I find out that like she leaves the apartment or whatever, meets me at the car, well, I get out of the car and like we meet in front of the apartment or whatever, and she tells me like, hey, so sorry, but like my dad came home early or whatever, and so like we can't go in. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And so we just plan to go do something else, but that's basically the story.
So I here's the thing. I think the factor in question here is whether or not she was telling the truth about her dad being home early or not.
Yeah.
So based on whether or not it was truthful or not, she wanted to fuck. But I don't know why she would even lead with that to begin with if that wasn't the thing. Like, what did you guys end up doing anyway?
We went to go to some like not like a viewing spot, but like a hiking wilderness area, like on a like by a river, and we walked around and talked and shit. And then we went and grabbed food. I think we went and grabbed like sushi or something.
Did you pay for it?
Yeah.
I mean, so that wasn't like. So here's the thing: it could kind of go either way, because she could have just been using you to get a free dinner.
Yeah.
But like, it seems to me, and maybe I'm wrong, that wasn't planned to begin with. So it would lead me to think, yeah, she wanted to fuck. So
I don't think she was lying to me, but here's the thing. I know that she wasn't, because I specifically asked her about that situation. And this was the other thing that I was guessing too, because she had told me later about the situation, and she had given me a hint about what it probably was, is that I don't think she wanted to give her dad the impression that she was like a whore or whatever, or like just having guys over. And so that's why I think that's why, or at least I initially sort of had in my mind the idea of like, okay, maybe that's why she said, "Hey, my dad's not home. Now you can actually come into the house and we can do something together." But not like sexual.
But why would you expect her to be honest about her intentions when it came to sex after the fact? Because I mean, women like to do that, where they're like, well, I actually wasn't doing that. If it turns out that they don't think anymore, it's actually like a viable case of something that's like going to turn into something else. They kind of just like backtrack a bit. And it's like, oh, well, that was never really the case.
Okay, that is true. But then again, I don't know, because it's like, she's never given me like the impression of like I've never caught her in a lie. I've never caught her being mistruthful for me, and I think we've known each other for like a year and a half now or something like that. So, I mean, again, like she could have lied about that, but yeah. So basically, what happened was that after the fact, this was like maybe 5 or 6 months ago. I asked her about that situation because now at this point, like we're just friends at this point now. And I asked her about like what like her intentions were, and like she basically just said like, yeah, it was because like my dad was home and I didn't like want to give him like the wrong impression, and I didn't want to like be embarrassing for me or whatever, like have you come over.
see,
And like
why would
explain
that
to my dad like with someone like he's never met or whatever.
why would that be a problem unless she's had a ton of guys there to begin with?
Well,
Which then would beg the question of, okay, well, she's already brought a bunch of guys there to begin with, then why is it suddenly an issue now?
no, she hasn't. And the and basically like I think the idea is that she doesn't want her dad to like, I don't think she wants to like have it be awkward, or like have her like have to like explain to her dad like, oh, there's this guy coming in, I don't know who he is, you're doing something in your room or whatever. I think that she just found the whole situation just to be awkward in general,
How
and
old
that's
is she?
probably why.
Whoa.
um what?
How
She's
old
my
is
age.
she? Okay. That still doesn't really make sense to me. Because, like, if she's old enough where she's able to be doing
or
that anyway,
or actually
then
technically I think she might be a year young. I think she is a year younger than me.
How does her
that's
dad
still
not get the
ridiculous.
impression that she's just going to your house to fuck?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know why she would tell him that.
No, I'm saying, like, well, he knew that she was hanging out with a guy, right?
I don't even think that I don't think they even think that he knew, because I didn't see him. I've never seen him.
So she
And
just says, I'm going to go hang out with a friend, or does she say I'm going out for a walk?
she didn't, I didn't hear her say anything, so I don't know if her dad actually knows.
Well, I'm
But
saying,
I
what
don't
did she
think,
say to
but
her
I don't,
dad?
Well,
Like,
she would have to
what do you,
explain why she's leaving.
yeah.
probably. I mean, I don't even know if she would have to explain that, because I don't even know if they're at the point where it's like she needs to tell him where she's going.
Since when do
Well, then,
people not
if
tell
that's
their
the
parents
case,
why they're going out? Like,
if that's the
I
case,
don't.
then if she doesn't have to tell him where she's going, then why would it be an issue if she brought a guy in?
Well, because I don't think that like he would get. She's not. I don't think she's gonna think that he's gonna get mad over it. I think that she's just thinking that it's just gonna be awkward.
But I
I don't know. Usually when you say
And again,
goodbye
like,
to somebody, like,
I'm
I'm
just
kind
explaining.
of hung up on this now.
I'm just explaining her logic. I'm not saying that like that's completely logical or like whatever. I don't know
it's
her
not logic
situation.
is a thing.
I'm just saying that like that's probably the justification and probably the reasoning.
I'm kind of hung up on this now, like thinking like she just says nothing. Like, does she say goodbye? Like, how does that work?
Well,
Usually
I
when
don't
you
know.
say
Well,
goodbye
I don't
to a
know
person, it's
because
kind of like you tell them what you're doing. You're just like, oh, bye, I'm gonna go
Hey, I'm
here.
going to get
but
groceries. Hey, I'm
here's the
going to
thing.
the
I
movies.
don't know
Yeah.
because when I pulled up to her apartment, she was already outside, so I didn't see the interaction with her and her dad.
Right.
What's with it? I'm just gonna get into like kind of a tangent here, but like, why have I guess this is I don't know if this is especially in America, but like the West kind of like, but this is like particularly something that you see like more maybe just because like white people are a bigger population, but it's something you see with white people in the West where it's kind of like they're a lot less I don't want to say formal. I want to say like there's a lack of connection or sort of like sort of I don't want to say intimacy. That's a weird word to say for your like family, but like sort of like
Intimacy has multiple meanings. It could work.
yeah, okay. So then intimacy in that sense with your family, like there is less intimacy to where it's like it's almost like they're just your roommates. Like you don't even say why you're leaving. You don't even tell them like good morning or anything. Sometimes it's like there's just such a lack of connection between the family.
Yeah, this is an argument I've had with other people before about the whole idea of like how in America you're expected to leave the house at a certain point once you're on your feet, and in like other cultures like the Asian culture, the Latin culture, I think just general like Europeans for the most part, besides like the ultra Western ones like France, Britain, Australia, those places, you're kind of expected to either live with your parents for like most of your adult life, or you get your own place and you move your parents and extended family in with you
After you get
and
married.
right. And the thing is, I disagree with that idea because I think you should be able to be your own person without being bound to your parents. But at the same time, because of that culture, it does create, like you were saying, almost like a transactional kind of relationship with your parents once you get past the age of like high school or whatever. Like
Yeah.
you have
I
to
mean,
like
I mean, I know like sort of like their logic behind it is like, well, your parents raised you and they let you stay with them even after you like turn into an adult. So it makes sense that you would like then help them later in their life. And it's like, that's your incentive to have children as well. Like, so that they help you later in your life. So like, I kind of get how there's like, even from that respect, there's kind of like a self-interest to it when it's like, this is because like you yourself, like can expect the people after you to sort of like, take care of you. But then again, like you're imposing that on the people that you're putting into the world, so like,
right.
There's kind of an inconsistency with it, but at the same time, like I understand why they do it, and sort of like I don't know, like it almost seems like a more preferable way to live, like in some
Especially
respects.
in this economy.
Yeah, well, I mean, and the thing is, like, yeah, I know if it were like economically feasible, it really wouldn't matter as much. Like, you could have even people like in a great economy take care of your parents, and
Without
like they could just
necessarily
be sort of
living
like
with them.
yeah, like I just mean like people that are like specifically like meant to like help like older people, and instead of having to put them like in a home or something.
Right.
And
like
I was just gonna say, well, fuck, I kind of lost my train of thought there, but I was just sort of gonna say, yeah, like on the individual thing, I mean, I don't necessarily think it's preferable to say like, okay, well, you get to have your like sort of like own space, but it's like a cramped apartment. So like if it's like a house, I understand that way more. And if it's like you're getting married, I understand that way more. But if it's just like you in a tiny apartment, like depressed and all that, it's like, okay, well then is it really worth like not being an individual, but is it really worth like having that level of sort of like, usually people say like you're atomized if you're sort of like, separate from community and family and all that and culture. So it's like, is it really being worth being at that like atomic level of a person, which is not necessarily what individuals advocate for. So that's why I'm kind of separating the two. But is it really worth being at that point when this is the living situation?
I think it depends. I think like right now, I would think the way I look at it is you're able to build your own connections apart from your parents. Like, don't get me wrong, I don't really have anything against my family or anything like that. If anything, it's the inverse. I'd have everything for them. But like at the same time, you kind of need to build your own life, your own connections, and that's kind of a sign of like success within itself, even if you're not necessarily financially successful. Like the fact that you don't have to rely on your parents or that your parents aren't a core part of your life anymore kind of is like an indicative of the fact that you're doing your own thing. Not that you don't like them, but like they're not supporting you. You can kind of just do your own. It's like an independence type thing in a way.
No, I understand
and I see
that.
the value in that.
And sort of what I'm saying is just like, and I mean, I know we already kind of like pointed out that like it is just kind of like the inverse. But to just kind of say like you should disregard them almost. Like I'm not saying you're saying that, but I'm just saying in general, like it's almost like this is how it is now, where it's like just disregard them, and then like you lose them sooner than you know, right? So it's like kind of you lose, like, because I know like you necessarily don't have, or you don't necessarily have a tie to your family just because they birthed you or they raised you, because you could have had a very shitty living situation. Like there could have been a lot of problems with them, but like if these are good people to you and you actually do care about them, like it's not necessarily like you have to divorce yourselves from, or divorce yourself from them, in the sense that like I don't think necessarily moving out is a divorcing yourself from them. I think like trying to get as far away from them as possible and not call them that often and all that, that's a different story. But just simply being self-sustenant, or like being able to sustain for yourself, or sustain your own life, I don't think is like necessarily like incompatible with sort of that like connection that you can have.
Right. And you see it in like Latin cultures in particular. Like people, like it's kind of like a joke, like the big tough like Latino guy, but he still like calls his mom every now and then. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that, being close to people like that. It depends on like how you're doing it. Like if you're ultra vulnerable and stuff like that, then yeah, that's an issue if you're a man.
Yeah,
but like
you shouldn't be like a literal mama's boy in the sense that like you feel like you can't do anything without her.
Right. So it's
that
kind
is
of like
a trait of autism.
No, yeah, it actually is. It's like a balancing act between being your own person and not being like bound to your family, and also being in a position where if they are valuable to you, which again, it depends on your situation, still keeping contact with them, not like kicking them to the curb.
It's more like as you become an adult, your family just becomes your closest friends.
Right. If anything.
Yeah. Like if you had a good relationship with them growing up, then they become more so your closest friends than people you have to like call to rely on, or like, you know, because family is almost like that, in that position, like especially when you're like when you're a kid, they necessarily are those people that you rely on. They would be like considered like exclusively family and not really friends. But as you get older, you can kind of like not necessarily move them into the same category as you would every other friend, but it's almost like they're becoming similar to how you would treat friends, and like, I mean, good friends, like close friends.
Yeah, I treat my mom like a buddy.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm saying. Like it's you move on from that like the hierarchy that was present before when you were underage.
Yeah, it's much more. You're almost on like an equal playing field now, as opposed to it being like a dependent situation.
Yeah, because there's like I think like there's not really much you can be done to you at that point to be reprimanded, unless you have your family paying for something for you, or if you're living under their roof and like you don't necessarily contribute to the house, so you don't really have like the claim of like, oh well, I do this and that, so like you can't really like say I don't like do anything, like, you know. So, you know, the more independent you are, necessarily not by location, but by ability to have agency in your life, is sort of what separates, you know, somebody that can be sort of punished from somebody that can't.
Right. And like I was going to say, in like other cultures, you still see like, you know, Latins and Asians and even Europeans, like they still have, you know, their parents or extended family as like regular like contacts in their like phone logs or whatever. Whereas here in America, it's kind of like once you leave the house, it's kind of like, well, you'll meet up for like Thanksgiving or something like that, maybe. But after that, it's like you're kind of like cut off entirely, which, I mean, again, it's situational. Depends on how your family living is, or maybe it's not even something like super serious. Maybe it's something like there's just like an ideological rift between you and your family, and they're not necessarily bad people, but you guys just disagree on a thing where you don't see it valuable to continue having a relationship.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it's more common in America, or maybe it is just genuinely like the culture kind of pushes for it regardless of the situation.
Well,
I'm not sure.
I think definitely something of that I would point to where that happens is religion, right? Like, you know, parents, I mean, they're of like older generations where like historically people have been more religious, like ever since religion became a thing and it spread. But sort of like people have been told to believe that sort of thing. But when you get into cultures that like don't even enforce that and are more secular, you start to have the kids actually become like more secular, which I think is a good thing. But like then the relationship with the parents becomes a little bit more tricky because they have expectations of you and how they want you to live. And I mean, it doesn't really even matter like which religion necessarily is of like, I mean, usually it's going to be the Abrahamic religions that we're talking about here. But I mean, specifically like Christianity and Islam. I mean, let's be real. But But point being is like, it may be like, let's say you're Catholic, like once you're married and that's it. Like, let's say, I mean, there's a real problem, like where it actually kind of makes sense to get divorced. I mean, I'm not saying like, just because you weren't feeling the vibe, it makes sense to get divorced. Like, I think you should probably work through that. But, in the sense that like there's abuse or there's cheating or something like that, it just makes it sort of irreconcilable. The Catholics won't accept that as like a divorce, a proper divorce. They'll say you're still married to this person. And if you get married with somebody else, you're committing adultery. I think that's wrong, right? I think like you were incorrect for thinking that. Let's say like, I mean, obviously like Islam, for example, has a lot of expectations for what you should be doing your day-to-day life. I mean, pray 5 times a day, fast. That's just like basics, like, but like there are a lot more things like other than that. Kids who are doing that or not doing that and are in the West, I assume their parents would be more disappointed in them. They're like, they're probably not as secular as the children, even if they are. I don't know. It depends on the family. But, point being is like these expectations set in place are what caused the rift.
Part of it, yeah. So I was actually going to say too, like even the Catholics, they did implement basically what is a spiritual divorce, but even the way that they explained a divorce is like just hard copium. They call it an annulment, and basically the idea is that you were never meant to be married to begin with, but it went through anyway, and the church kind of recognized it. But now it's not so much that the marriage is ended, it's that the marriage was never valid to begin with.
It's very determinist.
Yeah, it's really fucking stupid, to be quite honest.
Because it's saying like you actually had this like fate in life and like, things didn't pan out, but if anything, the fate still made sense to be like the actual prophecy of your life and how it should be.
Right. And here's the thing too. I have a buddy of mine. He's from like up north, and he moved down here recently. Maybe you can get him on the show. I don't know. Got to see how much he does or doesn't like the show. But anyway, he was talking about how his one of his family members was dealing with basically what's like excommunication, but not really. I don't think. I'd have to verify on his end and remember exactly what he said, but because like this person in his family, she had come from a previous marriage, or is either his mother or his father, one of the two. They had come from a previous marriage, and in order to get rid of that, the church demands like if you want to get married again, then you have to annul the marriage, which means basically saying that this marriage was never valid to begin with. And the problem this person had with that is the fact that you're basically saying this person wasn't really meant to be. There's nothing right with this. There's nothing that was actually good about this. And I don't remember the exact circumstances of how they split. It might have been like a death or something like that.
Jeez.
So what happened was the church was like, well, no, you have to get an annulment. Like this was not the right marriage for you. You need to admit that. You need to admit that this was never a valid marriage. And because it's such a emotional situation, they didn't want to do that, so they basically got ousted from the church. I don't think it was like an official excommunication because that doesn't really happen anymore, but it was essentially something like that. So they didn't officially get married in the church, really.
Yeah. And so like, again, like the determinist part of it would be like, oh, this man was or I don't know if it was the man, right, that died.
I don't remember.
Okay, anyway, like, let's say, let's suppose this man was destined to die, right? Like at this time, probably, and basically like if it's something about like people changing in the like in the marriage, like to the point where somebody becomes like abusive or like cheats or something like that, at that same time it'd be like, oh well, that person was destined to cheat, he had no control over that. Like they don't really say he had no control over that, but they almost make it out to be like, oh well, you actually had no decision in that was foretold, right, from the beginning of time. And so I mean it causes a lot of issues with the way people perceive reality. But Ryan, do you have any thoughts on what we're talking about here? He's muted.
Oh, sorry. No, not particularly. I don't think I have anything to add on to that.
Oh. He's just a player, bro. He doesn't know.
Yeah. See, he doesn't even care about marriage. This guy, he can't be pussy whipped like that. You know what I'm saying?
True.
But yeah, it's weird too because like the thing is, it's usually the Calvinists, like one form of the Protestant church that's known for being wacky and ridiculous by other Christians because they're explicitly determinists. They believe in predestination, but it's implicit in pretty much all Abrahamic religions, as far as I know, that everything is pre-written anyway. It's just one kind of takes it to the logical conclusion, the other one doesn't. Because if God is all-knowing and all-powerful, and he knows what things are the way they're going to be, and God has a plan. That's usually the rhetoric you hear from these kind of religions. That would imply that everything is predetermined and that you don't have free will. So then how can you punish someone for sinning if you already know they're going to do it? And in fact, you're making them do it in a way.
Well, I mean, if they don't have free will, then they're like animals, and you can really just kill an animal for whatever you want. So, I mean, if anything, God is kind of like the pet owner, and he's just saying, well, fuck these animals.
Yeah.
Man, fuck this dog.
Have you heard about the story of Job, by the way?
Yes.
That's one of my favorites. Satan comes up and he's like, hey, I bet this guy doesn't actually like you that much. And God's like, oh yeah, I'll fucking fuck him up. And he's like, oh yeah, well, I don't know, you don't really have to do that. No, bro, I'll do it. I'll fucking prove you wrong.
Yeah. Well, if God is all powerful, right? Why couldn't he have simulated it?
Yeah, why couldn't he have just like put like a
what an asshole? What an asshole for real. Like, God, Jesus, man.
Literally.
Yeah, exactly.
I could like just make it known to you that he wouldn't do that. I didn't even have to make a simulation. I could like just give you a false equation for it. I could just argue with it.
He could
like
have
a normal
placed
person.
Satan in an alternate reality where Satan thinks this is what's happening, but it's not actually like real. And basically it's just like he like witnesses it firsthand as if it was happening. He could even put it in a dream or something, like a dream that feels real, something like that. But no, he said, let me actually like fucking fuck up my supporter.
He could actually just be like, come down to him with like his angel or whatever and be like, hey, Job, so God wants to test you. He's going to take away everything from you. If this happened, or like simulate it for like a second even. If this happened, would you still believe in God? And that will get you the answer you need. Like, there was really no reason at all.
Like, touch his forehead, and then like it basically like him and Satan both go into like a trance where they actually think they're still in real life, and then it actually plays out, and then they come back too, and they're like, what the fuck was that? And God's like, well, now we know Job's a real nigga.
Yeah, here's the other thing too. I don't even think he fixed everything after.
He got him a new wife, right? New wife and kids. He did fix. He technically fixed it, but it doesn't really fix it because he still killed the wife and kids that the guy had before. He made him sick. I mean, at least he did get his health back. That is something that you can fix. But and I think it was like his land that he fucked up too. Like he made all his crops dry out or something. I can't remember exactly. But anyway, gets new land, gets new health. But the wife and kids, those are not replaceable things. Those are only things that you can substitute. So the man like could have, and honestly, God can fucking resurrect people. He could have brought the old wife and kids back, but no, he's like, nah, nigga, you just need a new wife.
Like, the other thing is too, in like the Hebrew tradition, there is no heaven. Like you don't die and go to heaven. Like that's it.
Hebrews believed everybody goes to an afterlife that's like heaven.
No.
But they don't believe in hell. I thought they didn't believe in hell.
No, they believe in hell. And they don't
believe
in heaven.
I see. The thing is, I am actually a little bit conflicted on that because I've heard, sort of some stories about what goes on in hell with a certain figure that was.
I think you can talk about that. That's like on Wikipedia.
Well, I'm just saying what Jesus is known to be by a certain document. He is known to be in hell, surrounded by fecal matter.
Yeah.
So, if anything, wouldn't that suggest that there is a hell in the Hebrew tradition? I don't know.
There is a hell in Hebrew tradition.
Well, then why is it denied that that's the case?
I've never heard somebody say it denies that's the case.
Well, first of all, I heard Neil deGrasse Tyson say this, and then I heard I don't know if Ben Shapiro actually said that. He might have.
It does depend on like which form of the religion I think, because some of them do believe in certain things, some of them don't believe in other things. But from what I recall, the one thing I heard is that there is no afterlife until the Messiah comes or whatever, and then like all the children. Not Jesus.
Who's the Messiah then?
Some people claim that the Messiah is actually supposed to be the Antichrist in like Revelations. Like, so the Christians believe that Jesus is the Messiah, and that once the end times come, the Antichrist comes and mirrors as a Messiah, but he really is like a product of Satan and brings destruction and hellfire and all that. And then the real Jesus comes and does battle with him, and then it's the end of all time and all that. It's basically like Ragnarok, but with more Mediterranean flair. But anyway, the Jews don't believe in Jesus as the Messiah, but they believe that because they don't like it because he said anybody can be saved, basically. But anyway, So then what happens is they say there's a Messiah that is coming, and he's going to be specifically for the people of Israel, and he's going to reclaim Israel as it's like, or Israel, Judah, whatever. There's like different kingdoms. Their land, it's going to be the land on earth or whatever, and they're going to restore them the glory. And I believe it does even say something about subjugating the non-chosen people, which is a little sus. But anyway.
He's actually a fat child with a small penis that decorated a cow to be ginger.
Yeah. A South Park episode.
Yeah.
I think that's a real thing too. The heifer thing.
Really? A ginger heifer?
No, it's not a ginger cow. It's something about a heifer, I'm pretty sure.
Oh.
But
and then they have to sacrifice it by dropping it off of a helicopter onto a mountain.
No, it's something to do with a heifer, I think. Okay. But anyway, that's why they believed in like Bar Kokhba, who was like a Jew that said during like Roman times, he said we need to kill everybody in this land that isn't us, and then we'll have our country back. And then the Romans were like, what? And then the Romans like crushed them and shipped them off. Well, here's what happened. So they crushed the city, destroyed the temple, banned the Jews from Jerusalem, and then the ones that they didn't kill for, revolting and whatnot, well, they escaped into Europe. That's why we have Jews in Europe, especially Eastern Europe, and that's where they came from. And the ones that remained, well, they didn't really remain that long. There's like, before like the creation of the state of Israel, there was like barely any Jews in the Middle East for a really long time. That's partially because of the Muslims too, but like a lot of it was because of the Romans too. But that goes to prove my point. Like the fact that they chose this guy as the Messiah, it's basically they didn't like Jesus, they didn't like Muhammad because they preach that anybody can be saved. But then it's like, well, actually, that gets in the way of the fact that we have a chosen people and yada yada. So yeah, that's the real discrepancy here. And I could go more into that on the esotericism side, but
we should. But I think we got to get Ryan out of here soon. Am I right, Ryan?
Actually, the interviewer canceled with me because they're going to reschedule to
That's
tomorrow.
Oh, so new film later?
What was that?
New film?
New film? Oh, yeah. New film.
All right, I'm going to go into it then. Anyway, I'm going to try to do this as delicately as possible. Basically, the way that the Hebrew God manifested itself historically is that about like the Sumerians, the Babylonians, Akkadians, so on and so forth, like the OG Middle Eastern people, basically.
Vaguely.
Yeah, so they're considered like the first or one of the first civilizations on Earth. And they all have like a pantheon. And this pantheon basically goes around the world in different forms. So the pantheon of the Greeks is based off of that. The pantheon of the Egyptians is maybe not based on it, but very similarly tied to it. Like there's like cross-contamination of like different gods taking on different forms and so on and so forth. Roman gods are similar. Celtic gods are similar. I think the very far north, like Germanic ones might be a little bit different, but generally all pantheons follow a certain like playbook for the most part. Except when you get into like Buddhism and Hinduism, I think that's where it gets a bit more different, but not really the point here. That general area of like Europe and the Middle East kind of has like a similar track record in terms of how the gods operate and what the myths are. But anyway, the Canaanites, which would become like the area of like Israel, Palestine, whatever you want to call it. By the way, the term Palestine comes from when the Romans crushed the Jews and they renamed it to Palestina. But anyway, the god of Yahweh, as he's known, came out of that pantheon, and initially he was a war god called El, and that's why it makes sense when you look at the Bible. Yeah, like El, like as in like the article in Spanish. That's why, and you'll see it in like Arabic too, like Al. That's like a cognate with it.
It's interesting. I remember there was this transgender in high school that was Ella, and then renamed herself to El.
She's saying she's God.
Well, I don't know, man.
But yeah, that's not even like a common name. What the fuck? Why would you pick L? Like L?
Because your name's already Ella, so you just try to make it masculine.
Elias? Wouldn't that make more sense?
No.
Elijah even?
See, that would make sense, but no.
Okay.
Whatever. I mean, there's this guy I know, like I was talking about him on the show before, the one that dated the they, them. The guy's name is Jay. He's Jayla now.
That not even Jada.
No, Jayla. But he's
What the fuck?
Yeah. He's like a white guy.
I was expecting him to be black. Yeah,
I know. Jayla. It sounds like black.
I don't. Okay,
Sounds like a black woman's name. Am I wrong?
It does. It really does. I guess getting back on track. What the fuck, bro? Anyway, if you look at the Bible, like the early parts of the Bible, pretty much the entire Old Testament, like going back to the Job story, God is just a cunt the entire time.
Mhm.
He's like, hey, I don't like these people, but I do like you people, so fucking kill all of them. And they're like, okay, I guess we got to do it. God said so. And if you look at it from the historical point of view of God being a war god, this makes a lot more sense as opposed to him just being the god of everybody. And then conveniently, when he has a son, he's just like, actually, everybody's cool, not just the Hebrews. But getting back to the like focus point of it, the reason, or shit, where's I going with that? There is actually like an anecdote or whatever when I was reading upon Moses where either Moses himself was told the Hebrews when they were taking over, I think it was Jericho or something like that, or he got a message from God saying, kill everyone except for the virgin women. Everybody else has to go, but you can keep the virgin women for yourself. So, I mean, it's textbook like war stuff.
Bro was a homie.
Yeah. He's like, hey, I got you, bro. I'm a wingman you to a fucking new city.
Fuck it. You don't have to wait till heaven to get those virgins.
That's why they didn't like Muhammad. They're like, what? I gotta wait?
Muhammad was a baller until it came to saying you gotta wait. But the thing is, he didn't wait.
No,
he actually
he did not wait at all.
He didn't even actually wait until the girl hit 18.
No, he didn't.
So bro was ready to, well, he didn't even pre-order, bro. He like stole that shit before it even came out.
He's like, yeah, this is mine now.
Yeah.
But going back to like the like thing behind it. So what happened was eventually once the Hebrews settled down, and it's funny too, even like the whole like the like Exodus thing where they're like, we were sold into slavery and all this, and then we had to force the Pharaoh to let us go and all that. Historically, there's no record of that whatsoever outside of the Bible. Like the Egyptians actually wrote down their own shit, and the Egyptians basically said there's like an intermediate period, which would have roughly corresponded to the time that would have happened in the Hebrew Bible, where there's 3 main kingdoms in Egypt, and in between each kingdom is an intermediate period where the power gets usurped from Egypt, basically. And the second intermediate.
But do you remember that South Park episode where they had that like as a section in it, where it was like the it was Chupacabra, and like
yeah, vaguely.
And then Cartman goes back to that like that time, and basically like Kyle is telling him, well, God's gonna freeze the Pharaoh's heart or something like that, and he's like, why would God do that? Like he's just an asshole. Like Jesus, like why would he's gonna force him to keep doing what he's doing?
Yeah, like think about that for like more than 2 seconds, because it says it in the text. Yeah, God's hardened Pharaoh's heart, even though he's sending plagues upon Egypt, and he really just wants his people to be let go. So on one hand, he's forcing his own people to suffer even longer, assuming the slavery is even like really bad. Because I mean, there's really not many evidence that it actually happened. Just saying. And then the second thing is,
if anything, God's playing with like action figures. He's just like playing, like he's just trying to like make it entertaining for himself.
Yeah, but Pharaoh's so evil, he won't actually listen to me. I just think about that for a second, too, because the Egyptians even believed in magic and stuff like that. So you would think if the fucking river turns into blood, the literal thing that supports your country, the life essence of your country, turns into blood and is basically unusable, you'd be like, yeah, that's probably a good sign, even if it's not from the Hebrew god. It could just be one of our gods.
Right.
That's a good sign for me to maybe follow what these guys are saying, even if just for the fact that it might help like alleviate the thing.
I mean,
and
if anything,
he's just like,
stop fucking with them.
Right. But no, he's just like, no. Like, what? What? Even if God was hardening his heart, you would think somebody would be like, hey, this Pharaoh is fucked. We should kill him and like fix something here. But no. But anyway, the actual evidence is in the intermediate period between the Middle Kingdom and the New Kingdom of Egypt. The Egyptians were usurped because that's what defines the intermediate periods, and they are usurped by people that were known as Easterners or Levantines, and they're even colored differently. Like, you know how like the Egyptians like color their people on their like hieroglyphic stuff like that, and that's usually the argument people give for like blacks being Egyptian, even though it's false. But anyway, and they color them like in a yellow tint to give them like a tan color, which would indicate that they're from the East as opposed to like a North African people like Egypt.
Oh, we were kings and shit.
Oh yeah, have you guys seen the documentary series Hidden Colors?
No.
Oh my god, it is genuinely one of the most amazing things ever. They're basically it was made by a guy named Tariq Nasheed, and
Yeah.
he
Oh boy.
yeah, and he's like a hardcore like black nationalist, like black identitarian. Basically, just like picture all of the same narratives that like Nazis use or like white identitarians use, but just flip it and like it's black people. So like and there's some shit in those documentaries, like almost all of it is like just completely historically inaccurate. Like they're trying to like claim that like black people were Egyptians, black people like went to Japan, and like black people were the original Asians and shit like that, and also just claiming a bunch of random crazy shit.
We
Like
were samurais and shit.
No, literally, like, one of the claims was like, yeah, so, and this is how they talk. I'm not even like being racist or anything, but like, so,
Yeah.
no, but he was like, oh shit, sorry, I'll have to like mute for a second because my dogs are fucking.
His dogs do not
freaking
like
out.
black people, folks.
Yeah.
Racist dogs. They heard a black voice in the house and they were like, intruder.
Who the fuck let this guy in?
Yeah.
So do I wait or?
Yeah. You know, funny story about dogs. I was like walking out in the sun and you know, like I do, I earth, you know.
You earth.
Yeah. But I saw like some black dogs. And I was like, holy shit, you know, I better be ready in case those start coming at me. And then I saw like a golden retriever, like lab or something.
Black?
Like, oh. Huh? Yeah, because they were, well, I don't know, because like I felt uneasy when I saw them, but then I saw a golden retriever and I was thinking to myself, you know what? I feel better now.
Bro.
I'm serious. Like it was not even purposeful. Like it was just literally like my mental state had changed after seeing that dog instead of the black ones. I'm serious. Like I wasn't even thinking about it. It was an automatic emotional response.
Okay. Wow. I guess we'll just continue then. Basically, what I was getting at is that the historical evidence shows that, if anything, a people from the East conquered Egypt until Egypt said, "Get the fuck out." If anything, so if you take that evidence and you take into account that it lines up generally with the time that the Hebrews were saying they were enslaved, it's completely the opposite of what happened, really.
Mm-hmm.
But this makes sense if you consider the fact that historically the Canaanites were like a war raiding people. So they had a war god, and basically what happened was you had like two, and he was like a war god out of a larger pantheon. That's a connection here. And he had like they had like the same gods as like the Phoenicians would become like the Carthaginians and stuff like that. But basically, eventually it became like a big rift over whether or not the god could be worshipped in Jerusalem or worshipped in the Kingdom of Israel, which was like further north. And there's like a big and that turned into like a thing over whether or not you could worship just that god or you could worship him as and other gods as well. So basically what I'm saying is the Jews of like today technically aren't even monotheists like historically. They're monolatrous, I guess is the term, where basically you believe in one god having power, but you don't believe it's exclusive to that god. You essentially like worship one god as like your god, but that doesn't mean you don't believe that other gods don't exist, type thing.
But why would you select one god over the others then?
It's the same thing with like the Greeks. Like the Athenians chose Athena as their god. The Romans chose Mars as their patron god, but they still believed in other gods. They still believe that other gods had power. And you actually see this in like the Bible where they'll call out like other gods like Baal which is like a term for Lord, which generally means any other god, they'll admit that other gods have power. And even in the Exodus myth, where Moses goes up to the Pharaoh and he's like showing that he has the power of God by turning his staff into a snake or whatever. The Bible says that the priests of the Pharaoh managed to do similar things with magic, which would imply that the gods of Egypt still have power. So it's like,
wait, where's this said?
In the Exodus tale. Like the book of Exodus is where the whole like Egypt slavery story comes from. When Moses first comes up to Pharaoh and shows him that I have the power of God, he turns his staff into a snake or something like that. And the priests of Pharaoh do some other magical stuff. And the Hebrew Bible doesn't say, oh, well, it was a magic trick or anything. They said like it actually happened.
But what do Christians think of that?
I don't know. Because the Christians believe in one God, like definitively.
Technically.
But then at the same time, they still believe in demons, which is kind of like, I mean,
Shaitan.
There's an argument that could be made there. Yeah, and then the Satan thing too. Like, that's the other thing. If Satan is really just a fallen angel, why doesn't God just like snap his fingers and make him like stop existing?
Yeah, are they at like war or something?
They are. But how are you at war if you're not an equal?
Yeah. Like, you remember the South Park episode? I'm just thinking about these. Like the one where Kenny's playing the video game about like it's like heaven versus hell, and he's like leading the angels to like fight the demon army, and then like they call him like Keanu Reeves because he's like the chosen one.
Yeah
exactly. And then Satan has like outnumbered like heaven's army, and then but he's like, oh, they have a Keanu Reeves, I'm not gonna go in now.
I mean, I wouldn't go against Keanu Reeves.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's the reason why like the whole like Hebrew Bible, the Old Testament looks so like awful. And then like once like the Christians have their own gospels and stuff, God's all loving. He still says like stuff, oh, well, you shouldn't do this, that, and the other. But it's more like, hey, if you do that, that's fine. I still love you. But in the Hebrew Bible, he's like, what the fuck did you just do? You ate pork? You're dead. That's it. It's over. Not just you, your entire city and family are gone because you decided to eat this for some reason.
But and that's why I to this day won't do it.
Yeah, you're a good God, Yahweh fearing person. But yeah, basically what I'm saying is there's a very good argument that the Jews aren't even monotheists and that their God is just like one they picked out of a hat and it's like, yeah, this is ours.
I like how the word God fearing is like a virtuous thing in the eyes of religious people.
I mean, I would be afraid of a god that could flood a city, yeah.
I mean, I know, but I'm saying I like how they think that's a virtuous thing to have, like, as a trait. Like, to be afraid of this god is a good thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it's not. like, if your god has a history of, like, destroying the earth because he felt like it, it's not exactly, like... that'll be like me saying, yeah, I'm a government-fearing individual because I know what the government is capable of. It's not, like, a good thing. It just kind of goes to show that maybe... the things they do isn't exactly something to be praising of.
You must go to your local DMV and admit your sins.
You're just loaded with the South Park references today.
Yeah.
But yeah. Mr. Gosling, are you back?
Yeah.
So, question. Were your dogs barking because they heard a black man in your house?
No.
What color are your dogs?
Black and tan, kind of.
Which one scares you less?
Probably the I don't know. Well, because probably the black one actually.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard my anecdote. Did you?
What anecdote? No, I didn't hear your anecdote.
I was walking outside, earthing. I was earthing. And basically I saw these two black dogs. And I kind of felt uneasy. I didn't mention this the first time I said the story. I actually take a knife with me when I go outside because like some people just let their dogs out, like no leash or anything. And usually like there are certain dogs that are well-trained and those are the bigger ones. And they actually like are just kind of, well, there's a German Shepherd out there that isn't, but a lot of the bigger ones from like this one house that I usually come across don't actually even go at me because they're pretty well-trained. There are these small dogs that actually are not well trained and they keep trying to bark at me and stuff. They don't bite or anything, I guess, but they did bite my dog one time. So I don't know, but, point being, I do take a knife with me out there. But anyway, I saw these black dogs and I kind of felt uneasy. I started looking at my knife. I'm thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? I don't know if these dogs go crazy or anything. I'm gonna have to do something. So those black dogs. That's how I was thinking. But then I saw like this lab, like this golden retriever, like golden lab, something like that, yellow lab. I don't know. And I just felt better. I didn't feel as uneasy anymore. It was like an automatic response too.
Led Zeppelin reference.
Yeah. So do you think do you think there's something that about the black dogs that makes people more uneasy automatically or something, maybe some sort of trait they have?
Is that for me or Gosling?
I was asking Gosling. I guess he doesn't even want to be racist. He doesn't even want to. He doesn't want to admit that there's a disparity between the dogs.
Sorry, my dogs are freaking out again.
Did you even hear what I said?
Me?
Yeah.
No, sorry.
Yeah, I'm not telling the story for a third time. That's it.
No, I did hear part of the story. It's just that they fucking were interrupting again. So sorry about that.
You should put them down.
It's too late.
I should. Yeah.
Only put the black one down.
We can reduce the biting rate by 60%.
By the way, this reminds me.
13% of the population.
That is not the way I was going to go. Actually,
60% of all child bites.
The
I was going to go the opposite way. So listen. I don't want to make this a controversial. Well, I mean, it's kind of too late at this point.
This is like one
controversial podcast.
I don't think I'm even going to edit most of this just out of sheer laziness. So if we get fucked, it's whatever. Anyway,
follow us.
This reminds me of you're gonna have to do that. We're actually getting more views on Rumble.
Look, this one's gonna blow up on there.
It totally is, especially if I this one and the last one. But anyway, where was I going to that? So I was watching this podcast, right? And somebody brought up feminism, and I'm not a Christian or anything like that. I'm not religious. The abortion thing in particular, my stance is I don't give a shit either way, really, to be honest. But it's a common thing where people say that abortions are like racist because it like what's the word I'm looking for? Overwhelmingly attacks like people in like low income areas, which happen to be like black people in the Western world. I think like specifically, I think it's specifically in the West, and I never really looked into whether it's true or not because again, I don't.
Kanye.
Yes. In the Kanye.
In the Kanye West, the Kanye West has fallen.
It has. They took everything from him. Anyway,
billions must die.
Whoa,
millions.
Millions? How many million? One, two, three.
Wait, hold on.
Four,
Stop.
5.
Okay. Anyway,
we can go one more.
We're so fucked. Anyway, I was watching this podcast, and they brought up the whole like feminism thing and like how it's linked to like promoting abortions. And there was like one quote or whatever from somebody. I forget what the person's name was. Shit, I could probably like look it up real quick. But the quote was basically something like, "We must not let them know that we are specifically targeting children of the black race." Basically,
was that Margaret Sanger?
Yeah, that's the one. And I didn't actually look up if that's a real quote. Do you know if that's like actually true or anything?
It's real, yeah.
Okay, so this brings up like something that I didn't even think about because I figured it was just Christians like banging their Bible, saying this, that, and the other, and making shit up. But if that's real, that's actually kind of fucking wild. Like holy shit. But yeah, that was something I found out like just yesterday. So, what do you guys think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I know about that.
I think the problem with the pro-abortion or the anti pro-choice people is that, and again, this isn't like me taking a side one way
Anti-choice.
or the other. Yeah,
You gotta say
the
pro-life, bro. That's
pro-life.
the
Okay,
established term.
okay, whatever. From the
Yeah,
pro-life people,
anti-choice is a very like media outlet version of it,
sure.
like progressive use.
Pro-life, pro-choice. Yeah, that's like a decent like down the middle thing.
Yeah.
I really don't care either way, but you know, whatever.
I think the unbiased terms are
Regardless.
pro-life and pro-choice, and then like if somebody literally advocates to have abortions, they would be pro-abortion at that point.
Right. But anyway, so the pro-life people, the problem, like that is true, but I think the pro-life people use that as like, oh, well see, I mean, abortion is this inherently eugenicist thing, and therefore it's like evil. Like no, that doesn't really logically follow. I mean, just because like it may have historically been used and promoted to do this, but just because, you know, that particular thing is being carried out, it doesn't mean it's like a genocidal or like racist thing.
Right, but I mean,
like it's just
the thing is there's
think,
definitely a historical precedent if this is true, which is kind of, it's at least spoils the milk a bit.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's not necessarily like outright trying to like erase black people as an idea. Like it's not like sort of this ideological thing. It's like we want to rid the world of blacks, but like Planned Parenthood, where they establish their facilities, oftentimes happens to be in the areas where a lot of people that generally are not white are. I mean, that sort of just coincides with the fact that, I mean, again, these are just low income areas. If the low income areas were full of white people, I don't think it would really change much. But the fact that, like, you know, these are the people that are there does affect like how many abortions they're having versus white people. So I would say, obviously, it's like you can gather why people are saying it's racist. But I wouldn't really attribute like racism to Planned Parenthood. I would just kind of say, like, you know, if you see abortion as evil, then Planned Parenthood's evil. And if not, then they're not.
Right.
I mean, other than the fact that, like, I don't know. I mean, like I've heard a lot about like how they try to encourage women to have abortions rather than, like, you know, actually like figuring out if they believe that's the right thing to do.
No, yeah, that quote came from like somebody that like super chatted, and the actual context was somebody brought up feminism, and the host brought up like a page from somebody's book. It was like the sister of Kate Millett, I believe, who was like a big second wave feminist person, and the book like was from the perspective of her sister, like at one of their meetings or whatever, where they're like chanting like slogans and stuff. And they're saying, so what is this kind of gathering about? A revolution, and like a call and response type shit. And basically they were saying, like, in order to hit, like, basically kneecap the man in a patriarchy, you need to promote eroticism, pornography, abortion, and homosexuality. Like they said those like verbatim pretty much, which
what
is
about
interesting.
The abortion kneecaps the man?
It's essentially their logic was that giving sexual freedom to women hinders the man's control over the relationship, and therefore hinders their control over society.
I see.
Yeah.
So
which, I mean,
be a whore to get at my patriarchy.
Say again.
Be a whore to get at my patriarchy.
No, yeah, verbatim. That's pretty much what they said.
True.
So I mean, I don't know. I just didn't expect something to be that explicit about it. Like, you can make the argument, obviously, that that's implied within the movement, but for it to just be explicit and them knowing about it is... I did not know that. And knowing is half the battle.
True.
Again, I'm not necessarily against abortion or anything like that, but it's just very odd to see it so, like, explicitly stated like that. But yeah.
Yep.
So
You guys got any... Go on.
I was just gonna say, back to the rizzing stuff, like autistic riz and all that. I just keep going to that topip. You know, I actually read something the other day. Back with another help me. Help!
Somebody help!
Have you seen the ones where it's like the cop actually pulls over people in a car that are doing that?
No.
There was one where it's like teenagers and like one of them yells out of the car. He's like, help me, help. help. And then the cop pulls them over. They like cut to the shot and the cop's like, it's not even fake. Like, cause it's like some guy in the back recording like an actual police stop. And he's like, what was that? And they're like, the driver's like, what was what? And he's like, what was that? And he's like, I don't know what you mean. He's like, somebody was yelling help from this car. Yeah, it was funny.
Can you imagine somebody's like actually screaming for help in the car, and that's the response that the person driving was what?
Yeah. But
it's like a
honestly,
Seinfeld skit.
Yeah, honestly, like we've been talking a lot. I've just thought about this. It was kind of a topic I wanted to bring up on the show. We've been talking a lot about like spots, like, you know, to use to do game, to spit game, right? It's more so like we're basically just trying to find the optimal places for cold approaching women, with the interest, of course, of like, you know, sexual interest or relationship interest or whatever have you, whatever your end goal is. But basically, I read this like tweet, and I don't know if it was a thread or if it was just a tweet in general, but this guy was actually like pointing out, he's like, okay, well, you're basically told these are the ways, like, or you're basically told that cold approach is a way to meet women, but like, how many meet cutes are you actually finding at a grocery store? And he says, you know, basically, the people that are telling you to do this kind of thing are already in relationships, and like they found their partner, or like, you know, generally we're talking a guy, his woman, through like, you know, through school, like high school or college, or like through, I don't know if the church was mentioned in it, but like mutual friends, like introduced to mutual friends, like social circles and kind of like hubs of like, you know, a lot of people that are your age and women your age. So basically the point being is like, he was like, okay, well, actual cold approach relationships that actually like form are incredibly rare. Like this is not as common as it's made out to be. It's very boomer advice. It's like boomer tier advice from the people who are in relationships. They are the equivalent of boomers telling the younger people, you just need to work for it. Look at me. I went in and I got a job just because I went to the employer and I approached them and I shook their hand and I said, I want a job here. So basically they're like viewing it from the outside, not understanding exactly what it's like. So they're trying to give you advice that's not actually really generally applicable. And so he goes on to say that the only like, well, I guess the most effective way to even like secure anything when it comes to this, if that's what you're looking for, like if it's specifically a relationship, I think cold approach, you know, I mean, you can do that at like the club, right? And I think he mentioned even bars is like something that, you know, if anything is or like dating apps and bars are still more effective than the cold approach, right? At like a grocery store or a gym or something, like in public, like, you know, still those are more effective. So
yeah, I can't think of a single scenario where going to the grocery store or even in the gym, approaching somebody while they're trying to, you know, just get their stuff done would be any better than going to a place where you're expected to be social.
Right. And so basically his advice is really the only way to secure this kind of thing. Like, you know, if you want the sex and the casual sex, whatever, like the bar and the dating apps are probably going to be a better bet, even though I wouldn't even say dating apps are like a great bet just because of like how the marketplace works. There is sort of like way more men demanding women than there are women demanding men. And so women have a lot of leeway as far as who they actually want to be with or who they actually want to play games with, who they want to talk to, anything like that. Like they have so many options that it really doesn't matter to them. It's a game to them, right? To guys, it's like they're actually trying to find like, you know, a decent pick from women, and they're not really like picky necessarily. They're just, and I'm not saying they shouldn't be, but you know, it's not as if they're not like, you know, even making some concessions or just like trying to find like a woman genuinely, but they're just fucked unless they have like status, they have money, whatever. And that's how it works a lot in like, you know, these like public spaces as well. I would say like if you're like some rich guy, you're going to have a lot of attention surrounding you. So let's say you're at a show, you could pick up women there, right? Like you just like fucking groupies and shit, right? Point being though, his advice was like, okay, first of all, get your game on point, like actually know how to talk to women. I mean, like, I'm not saying we don't have that, but like, you know, the better you are at doing it, the better your success rate will be. Obviously it's just a fact. But the best way to do it would be to be in enough of like, you know, have enough of a social circle to where you will be warm introduced to women. And I mean, the problem being, you're going to have to pick your social circle at that point to optimize for this, right? He didn't say this, but what I'm thinking is, okay, what kind of women are associating with the people you know, right? Like, I mean, honestly, like from some of the people I know, I would not want to be introduced to some of the women they know, right? So, or even the ones that they know about, right? Like,
right.
So point being is like, if anything, if you actually want that to be your strategy and you're not just like passport bros we up, like if you're actually trying to find somebody like, you know, here, you're going to kind of have to select who you surround yourself with more carefully to actually be in a situation that is more conducive to that actually happening, to where like the kind of woman you would be introduced to is not just some like tatted up fucking, you know, feminist or some bullshit like that, or some like ghetto bitch where it's like you don't even want to like be with her either.
I just want to take this moment to because I have not mentioned it before. I loathe tattoos.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, I'm kind of the opposite.
Bruh.
I love them.
That's a shame.
Yeah, especially on
Continue.
women.
Anyway, point being, that's pretty much how it is. Like if you're not doing it that way, like if you're not just trying to optimize your life, and then kind of not let it come to you, but like kind of make the conditions so that once you have set it in place, it's sort of like, it's like farming, you know, it's like, I mean, you know, I use the term farming, but I'm thinking of like a Minecraft farm where it's like fucking like mob farming, you know, like you just have a spawner and then they just start like piling in and like they drop like every time you kill them, like for some XP and some fucking like items, right?
So
exactly like that.
You're saying once you
Minecraft
kill women, then you get XP, so you can talk to women.
Yes, but except for instead of kill them, it's insert an organ into them that they didn't have there before.
And then kill them?
Well, if you really want to, you can do it after.
Okay, just
I
clarifying.
mean, that's optional. It's optional. I mean,
the
if
other
you
thing
really want to stay true to the Patrick Bateman lifestyle, like, I mean, then you have to.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah. But I was gonna
Gotta be
say,
Sigma.
the other thing is, like, a lot of the friends I have, besides like I guess like you guys for the most part, their standards just are not there at all.
Right.
Like I was talking to a buddy of mine, and this was like from the last story I told on the last podcast where we were talking about we went to like the Dave and Buster's or whatever, and he was saying, "Oh, what do you think of that one girl that our friend brought? Well, what would you rate her?" And I was like, "Oh, you're serious? Okay, she's a 3." And he was like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, that's being a bit generous, to be honest." And he's like, "Oh, no, bro, there's no way you think that she's a 3." And I was like,
Can you
"Okay,
describe
well,
her for us?
she's a Latin, but a white Latin, like the ones that are really pale. Long hair, glasses, and I don't know, just her face was not that attractive. I can't really describe it properly.
Was that the problem?
Yeah, I mean, she wasn't fat or anything like that. But like, let's say there was a good face on that body. Like, what would she be? like a 5?
Okay, so she's not even like incredibly looking.
No, not at all. But I asked his brother who was in the car with us, "Okay, well, what do you rate her?" And he's like, "I'd rate her a 7." And my other buddy's like, "Yeah, a 7." I was like, "What? What the fuck? Do you know what a 7 is? Are we on the same planet? What the fuck are you talking about, a 7?" Like my eyes, a 7 is like, I don't know, like the average girl you see at the clubs we go to.
Yeah.
Like a 7 or a 6 usually.
Right.
This girl was nowhere near that at all. She was not like vomit inducing, but she could not touch that at all. Like, let's say,
like, there is no world in which you would sleep with this woman.
I mean, like if it was like on a desert island, maybe.
Okay. Well, there's no normal world, no average world, no average society.
Okay, so she's not repulsive. It's just that there's no reason why I would want to go with that when I can see that there's very clearly something way better.
Okay.
That's
So,
even
like,
if I had like a low opinion of myself and thought that I couldn't get like higher echelon women, I still would, even with that fact, I would say, yeah, I could still do better than this, even if I had a low self-esteem of myself. I mean, it sounds like I'm really roasting the shit out of her, which I am, but like, she's not
You are cooking
hideous. But it was so dumbfounding to me that somebody would rate her a 7 of all things. It was just insane. But go on, Mr. Gosling. You had something?
Well, I'm just gonna ask. So, so you're saying that if she actually came up to you and was like, "Hey, you want to fuck," you would actually just say no?
Okay, so here's the thing. That is not a really good indicator of whether or not she's hot or not. Because the reason why men fuck versus why women fuck are completely different.
Yeah.
If it's like a quickie, most men, for the most part, would say, "Yeah, I don't really care as long as she's not an ogre. Like that's fine."
Yeah.
Hole is hole.
Yeah.
A hole's a hole. Personally, like, I mean, I wouldn't say there's no scenario where it wouldn't happen, but it wouldn't be likely. But at the same time, I'm also like a lot more let's say, selective than most guys I know,
I
which is
mean,
weird.
I think
I wouldn't
like
think that's the case.
I think your like ability to be happy, like having this woman as your woman, like in a relationship form, would be more of an indicator as to whether she is actually attractive to you. Because I would say that's a pretty good standard for like, because you want to be with a beautiful woman. It just makes
Right.
sense. Rather than like, would you fuck this woman? Right. I mean, I get that. That is true. And so
Yeah.
like, would I fuck like a woman that, I mean, not fat, but on the end of that, like bartender, possibly if it was just a fuck, right? That's but I would I
Yeah.
want to be in a relationship with that kind of woman? No, she's too big for that.
Right. like there's a difference. Like for women, there's not really a difference between whether or not you'd sleep with a guy and have like a relationship with a guy,
Mhm.
unless she has like really low self-esteem or something like that.
Yeah.
But with a man, it's completely different. Most men would sleep with most women, but in terms of a relationship status, unless again you have really low self-esteem, that's a different caliber of woman you're looking at.
Right.
But yeah, I just don't get it. All my friends have really low standards, and it kind of makes me want to shoot myself. There's like,
Well,
it's not all of them, but
I'm just curious to see what she looks like, so like I can give her a proper rating. Because yeah, I mean, I figured like I see 10s as like full on models,
I don't
Well,
even think
models
models are
aren't
that
10s.
hot. No,
I mean,
They're
okay,
they're like fucking
okay,
like they're anorexic, so
dude, they look weird,
Okay,
bro. They look like aliens.
they're transvestite aliens.
like a good model, like a genuinely good looking model.
Like, we'd have to go back to like the 80s or something like that. And even then, I don't know. Like I've always had this thing, even when I was like, a younger kid, where I'd see people in like movies, like celebrities, like models, stuff like that. Like obviously, if I'm passing by like a Victoria's Secret like store and they had like all the models on it, I don't even think they do that anymore. When they did, as a wee lad, I was like, oh, this is nice. But like,
Yeah.
I would see a girl like in the food court of a mall or like working at a McDonald's. That's usually the example, or even just somebody like passing by on like a college campus, and I'd be like, holy shit, that's a 10. But I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that about somebody that's in the public eye. It just never happens for some reason.
I mean, it could just be that they're like the fact that they are in modeling and their purpose is to basically just show themselves off to other guys. Also, like is
That's a
unattractive.
factor for like a relationship, but in terms of just like looks alone, I mean, most of the time when I see a girl in the public eye, looks alone, no other context, I don't think she's that high. I think it's like really inflated, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't have a
sense.
picture of the girl, unfortunately. I guess I could ask for our one buddies to get her Instagram, but then if I ask for her Instagram, the guy's gonna get the wrong idea.
He's gonna be like,
And
why would you ask for that? I thought you didn't like her.
Exactly. So, but I mean, for the sake of science, I guess I could try. Or I could just like scroll through like his follows and see if I find it. That's another option, I guess. But yeah. I was going to ask, by the way, that one girl you were talking about, there was like a lot of girls we talked about. You said you sent a story to Ahmed here. Do you have that Instagram?
Oh, her?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. My dogs are fucking freaking out again. Hang on. Hey,
Black
quit
dogs.
it.
I mean, he sent it to me.
You're talking about the girl who was like, "Hey, Dad, not home," right?
No,
the other one
before that.
Oh, like mostly talks to guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I can send you her Instagram. Yeah.
All right. But yeah, to finish on this point, I guess I have like one or two, and I find too the people that I know that have lower standards are also the type of people that I can't talk to about everything unfiltered as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
is there something about being like like a superior human as far as like ability to talk about things without being offended? Whoa.
I know what you mean, but that's a charged term here.
Okay. Is there something about not being offended easily by things which are seen to be offensive in terms of like, sort of what you're conditioned societally to believe is offensive, not necessarily what is repulsive or anything, but like, when it comes to what you've sort of been told is like, that's not a line you should cross. Is there something about willingness to cross that line? Perhaps it has something to do with like lack of risk aversion or something. And I don't know, better standards when it comes to like appearance and like, I mean, aesthetic, like aesthetics, you know, in general.
I think it would have to be.
But what is the connection?
Because what you find attractive is, and for men and women, by the way, it's not like a one-way streak, obviously. It's bound to your perception of reality. And your perception of reality will necessarily influence your values and your grasp on logic. So it's more likely that somebody that understands, for example, the concept in a practical sense, obviously, that A is A, would also be attracted to a more valuable woman, not just aesthetically, but also in her character.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I kind of explained it for myself, I guess. But it's just a shame because, like, I don't dislike these friends I'm with, obviously. Like, they have values, but, like, there's, like, a lot of pitfalls where it's like, I can't talk. And the thing is, too, when I said she's a 3, they got upset about it. They're like, whoa, what do you mean she's a 3, bro? You're lying, bro. There's no way.
I have a like the
I'm
bro.
just like really curious to see her now because I want to know what like I'd rate her.
By the
That
way, this
friend-
girl that you sent me the Instagram, she's decent.
Like, well, okay, what would you rate her?
The tattoos kind of kill it a bit. I'm not gonna lie.
Also check her. Don't just check the post. Check her like stories or whatever that she has saved on her profile.
Yeah, there are better pictures here, actually.
Yeah.
She does a thing where she hides her face behind the phone. That's kind of annoying.
Oh wait, actually no, because actually she has better photos on her Snapchat. Actually, let me see where her Snapchat is so you can see it.
My dude's gonna get the screenshot notification for me.
Yeah. So anyway, the friend I have that goes, bro, you know, we were talking about like, he wants to do like a trip during spring break. Like, you know, he was saying Miami at first, but he's thinking like maybe like something else, like another city, you know, like another dense city. But basically point being like, you know, a party area, right? Like college party areas. But point being, he was like, I got to invite some girls. And I'm like, oh, do you know girls? He's like, no, but I, you know, but
He said it like that too.
I don't know, something like that. But he was like, yeah, but I have to like, he said it with emphasis. Okay. He said no with emphasis, but then he was like, but you know, I can go around my college campus and like start asking around if there are any girls that want to come with us. I'm like, what? You're going to like take girls that that don't know you with you down to a party area to start partying with us? Like, I don't know.
I don't even think it's a good idea to have a trip with girls to begin with.
Yeah, I know. But I was saying like, okay, well, how many girls are you thinking? He was like 4. And I'm like, well, you need like you need more, like some more guys than just us for that, like 3 guys or something. I was saying if we're going to do that, we got to keep like the girls that are the same amount of guys plus 1, like plus 1 woman.
Right.
So there's like a slight like inequality. Just so that like, you know, they're not necessarily too comfortable or anything, but like in the fact that like they think that there's a secure option for them within the group of us. But the problem with it is if you're going to a party area, they're just going to find a guy there if they really want to. So if anything, that's not going to necessarily work when you're going to the fucking clubs. But point being, I was saying like, you know, I was basically saying that as far as the options go, if we were to bring girls, like there would be a certain type of woman that I wouldn't necessarily want to bring. Now, I don't know if you can guess it by what I'm saying.
Certain breed.
Jesus Christ.
I don't even want to say yes to that, but you remember my story of going outside and feeling uncomfortable in a certain way and then feeling comfortable again. Well, let's just say there might be some sort of same mental connection here. And so basically I was saying, no, don't bring the kind of women that I don't want you to bring. And he's like, what do you mean, bro? They look good too. There's like, even our other friend agreed that there are some of them that look good. I'm like, come on, man. Like, you know, you're saying some because you know there's a problem there in the first place.
Yeah, the emphasis on some says all you need to know.
Exactly. Like he didn't even shy away from saying it is just.
They're outliers.
Yeah, there are outliers. But then he was saying like, well, you could get one that is like less of that than usual. You know what I mean? If you know what I mean, less of a. I really don't want to say the word.
Say it.
Anyway, some light skinned women. He was basically saying, you gotta bring. And so I was like, well, that
Isn't that also like strengthening the point that they're not even all the way? Oh my god, we're gonna get so canceled.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah. Let's just say yes. That is the case.
Listen.
Look, okay.
To YouTube, preferences are fine. All right, these are just preferences.
Well, let's say it like this: broccoli doesn't taste good. Broccoli only tastes good if you put cheese on it. But doesn't that say that the cheese tastes good and not the broccoli? I mean, come on. If we're being real.
I mean, what?
Yeah, kinda. Honestly,
I see your logic. I just really don't want to say it because.
well, I mean, technically, though, I mean, like you might like some of the flavors of the broccoli, but only with mixed with cheese. Just in the same way that like you don't really like peanut butter
But
alone, you don't really
it
like jelly
seems like
alone, but they're actually good together.
Basically, society's telling you that broccoli is a good option, just perfectly as good as the rest of your options. And so you're trying to force feed it to yourself, and you only like it when it's like mixed with something else, right?
It's like, I've got to eat it. Therefore, it tastes good because I have to, get to the point where I say, oh, I need to eat it. So therefore, I need to find a way to enjoy eating it. Otherwise, I won't eat it.
Exactly. I have to be comfortable eating this because of what I've been told about health, right? So
right.
It's kind of like that. Yeah.
I don't see the point in if you're going to a party town, right? And you're bringing women with you, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
It's true.
Like if you bring them to a club, there's going to be guys that are taller than you, that are like more in shape than you, that look better than you, that have more money than you. They're going to go for that. It's it's literally like just open season for them to go anywhere else besides with you.
Yeah,
so it would only make
sense. Want to take them is to like a not secluded necessarily, but like let's say you had like a cabin trip in Tennessee where you were gonna like go skiing or something. That would make sense. Going to a fucking pool party or like fucking clubs, no, it doesn't make sense.
You're so fucked.
It's basically
so at that point, if you're gonna go there, you might as well bring none of them with you and then try to hit on the ones there.
Well, it's okay. I didn't tell him no because I know he's not going to get the women anyway, but so I didn't even say no. I was just like, okay, fine. I'll let him live his fantasy for now,
No, but that's, what happens if he really does get a few and then it does happen?
I mean, why do we have to let them come with us? If he does get a few, I'll just be like, dude, no.
Oh, okay. So you're going to shut him down later on down the line.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'll be like, what the hell are you
bringing
doing?
women to a club, I feel like is basically the equivalent of like helping girls make a Tinder account for them and like help them get other guys. Like you might as well just make Tinder the date. Like sit with them on the couch and just help them scroll through guys. Give them all the options they have.
Okay, so in a group setting, that makes more sense. I think on an individual level, like you can still take a woman to a club, like if it's like you and her, and like you're kind of like the person she's like with, or she's the person you're with. How would I phrase that? I don't even fucking know which way I'm phrasing it.
So
she is your piece that you are bringing to the club, and she's still having a good time. But it's just known that if any man tries to dance with her, that's not going to happen.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Whereas if you're in a group setting, like she feels more autonomy and freedom to like go around and like search for anyone else. Whereas if she's there with you, it's a specific event with you and her. It's a you and her thing.
Yeah. If she's getting offered to dance with a man and she accepts, there's already a problem to begin with.
Right.
Especially if you're going under the pretext of it just being a friendship and not an exclusive thing. Because then there's no reason why she should think that she is like permitted to not, or isn't permitted to dance with other people and go with somebody else.
Yeah, you didn't even lay a groundwork beforehand. Like if you're just scouting random women and bringing them with you, that's not even really laying any sort of foundation for why she would even feel like it's something she shouldn't do.
You're just bringing like a fucking like leech on your wallet at that point.
That's true.
Why would you do that?
Because he thinks he's going to get some play.
I feel like if you're alone with the girl, I feel like she like by default less inclined already to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, like especially if you don't know her. It's like, hey, I don't know you. Do you want to go with us on a boys' trip? Like, what?
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense.
Because like maybe if you like know her, but like aren't at that like stage where like you're exclusive or anything, but you're kind of flirty a bit, then it's like you going alone with her is gonna make a lot more sense because she's gonna already feel a lot less inclined to like just go like deviate from you and then go like, cause she's gonna like feel bad, she's gonna like genuinely like want to stay with you because you're the one who brought her, etc. So it's like if another guy like goes up to be like, hey, you want to dance or something, then she's probably more than likely gonna say no, or at least a lot less inclined to. Even if you guys are like not even dating or necessarily, or like you guys only know each other for a month or two.
That depends though. Some of these women are heartless, bro.
Yep.
Did you see that one video of like some guy, like a guy and his girl were at a concert?
Yes, bro. I was gonna bring that up too.
Yeah. So
What
do you want to
happened?
give like the foundation for it then?
I don't know the necessarily which artist it was, but apparently she made a video after claiming that like he did. I think he didn't pay for both tickets or something. So for some reason in her mind that made it justified to do this. But basically, guy with his girlfriend this is his girlfriend, go to a concert for a man that's singing. I don't know. He might be some sort of like R&B or hip hop artist. Think of it like an Usher. Like it's almost just like Usher. I don't know if it was Usher or if it was some other black guy, but whatever.
It wasn't
Point being,
Usher.
Huh? It wasn't Usher. Okay, well,
No, it's another guy.
Usher would have went for fucking like 2 for 2 this year if that was the case because of what he did with fucking what's her face, Alicia Keys or whatever earlier at the Super Bowl. Yeah, it was Alicia Keys, right? That she's married to Swizz Beatz, I guess, right? But basically, this other R&B nigga, they go to the concert, and basically she gets like called up on stage, and she does not hesitate because she's like in the front already, and so basically they go up on stage. This curtain drops in front of them. Bro, as soon as the fucking curtain drops, I knew that guy was fucking cooked. But like the curtain drops, you see like lights portray the silhouettes of them while he's still singing. She is grinding up on him behind this curtain. And yeah, pretty much. I mean, I assume they broke up because it seemed like she was making this whole video about it. I don't know if they had. Honestly, we should try and find this apology video and watch it. And we should watch the original and the apology video. I was going to say like, we're like almost 3 hours in, but fuck it. This has to happen.
Might as
now.
well at this point. Yeah. I was going to say it's even worse than that. I mean, if you find the video, then they'll just see, but like he starts like actually like thrusting while she's grinding, bro. It's bad.
Let's see what I can find.
Have you seen this one, Gosling?
I have not.
This full video,
I mean,
the lady who left her boy joined Nigerian singer Omale on stage.
Yeah,
I could like honestly see the guy being like so cucked that like he just is like fine with it. Like, oh yeah, I mean, like you wouldn't do this with a normal guy. I mean, this was like a once in a lifetime opportunity. Like I kind of get it. Like I'd be the same way. Like we each have our like one freebie. Like I could see like the guy making that excuse
one
for her.
Freebie.
We each have one freebie.
Yeah, because I've seen those videos where it's like like a girl and a guy get interviewed by some dude with the microphone on the street and is like hey, so if you had like one freebie, like who would it be with? Like, would you take anyone? And no forgiveness or anything? And then
so they're going up on the stage.
Oh, okay. Oh, stop.
Lights go off. Yep, curtain goes, bro.
Yeah, hang on. I want to.
The curtain is wild.
I know, right? It makes it worse.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. No way.
It's a guy in the hat, by the way. Bro, I didn't even see that part.
Oh god.
Yo, you saw her like kneeling down to get up on his like fucking dick there?
He's literally fucking turning his head. Oh my god.
Are they like making out there?
Yeah, it looks like they're fucking kissing. They had to have kissed. Yeah, they were kissing.
Bro, this is even worse than I thought.
Yeah, I hadn't seen the whole thing.
Yeah, that is them kissing at the very least.
It's an evil world.
Bro, in front of everyone.
He's just kind of laughing it off, but like not really. Like you can tell he's really uncomfortable with it. Bro, they're following him out.
That's lethal, bro.
It's fucking diabolical. All right, hold on. Let's see if we can find the apology. Because all I had to look up was concert woman
Isn't
grinding.
that it right there in the corner?
Oh shit, yeah.
And to
The bigger reality.
the O'Malley concert, I ask you this: was it worth it, my darling? The way that you
Oh,
were being
this is just some lady
it's
talking
like
about
to
it.
her. Okay.
So this really is the bigger reality. Let me see Omalay apology. See if I can find it like that.
Omalay. Sounds like some Arabic.
Is that how he actually says it?
I have no idea.
Why does this
Finally
look like a fucking
apologize.
news video? Let's see.
I
Is
mean,
that
bro
it there?
got straight
this
up
one's it.
fucking embarrassed in front of like millions of people.
Let's see this.
And tell my side of the story, because the amount of hate that I'm getting called all types of things that I've never even heard before. Like, it's getting a bit scary.
British.
And I keep coming
What
and
the
keep
fuck?
coming. Like, whoa. See, before I get started, I want to publicly apologize to him. Obviously, me and him, we've had private conversations where we spoke, but since it was public, I think the right thing for me to do is to
Private conversations where they spoke about what? That wasn't very clear.
No, I mean,
About what you would do if you went to a concert and there was some guy that wanted you to grind up on him. I mean,
publicly
but not at a concert in public, a concert in private. You've had discussions about that.
apologize to him. Like, that was bad, but it was honestly a mistake. If I knew this would like get this far, I wouldn't even
Bruh. Hold on, pause it.
'Cause
So it's not the fact that she did what she did; it's the fact that she got the hate from it. That's bad, apparently.
Okay, yeah, it wasn't the action; it was the consequences.
What the fuck?
It's the same people who literally cheat, and then like the girl cries about it. It's like, no, you're not crying because you cheated. You're crying because you got caught.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah, holy
to be
shit.
honest, I didn't think I would get caught, guys. This is a huge misunderstanding.
Yeah.
You know that, like, I think that's like an Impractical Jokers one. I can't remember where it was, but it was like, it was the one where Q like is told to collect money from the people at like going into this like venue, but then like it turns out the artists say like, well, nobody was supposed to be collecting money, and then they like all go after him because he has the money, and he's like, guys, this is a huge misunderstanding. I didn't think I would get caught.
Yeah.
It's like that exact thing happening right now.
I think we watched that, didn't we, Ahmed? Like when we were.
Yeah, we might have watched that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we watched like a bunch of like Impractical Jokers, like
We
punishments and
watched
stuff.
like at least like 2 or 3 hours worth.
We also watched fucking Hotel Hell.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah. There was like some guy that had like a heart attack or something at the fucking.
Oh yeah,
kitchen.
and those fucking eating channels, the Calorie Busters.
Oh
calorie
yeah, there was this like
counters.
guy. It's like Eric
This is
Electric
insane.
or something. He like binge eats like food. Like he'll eat like 30,000 calories in like 2 days, or even one day too.
Jesus.
Yeah, he has like this fucking. He also like bikes a shit ton, but it's probably not good because it's gonna definitely twist his intestines, which is not great.
Yeah.
But let's see.
this is not worth the hate I'm receiving. But yeah, since it was public, I want to publicly apologize to him. And also, people saying that he's the one that bought the tickets. I beg, and tell my side of the story.
Okay, well, that got cut off there. But you know, it doesn't really matter if what the fuck is this?
He didn't just dance with her. He didn't just kiss her either. He said, bend over, and this girl bent over, legs open, 90 degrees. Bent over for another man.
Okay.
Yo. Yo.
He didn't just dance with her. He didn't just kiss her either. He said,
Okay.
Okay.
That's enough of that.
You probably should just cut that out.
No, not on Rumble.
Okay, fine.
So you know what I'm thinking is like anytime you really have to cut out something, if it's not like for like if it's really just because of YouTube TOS, you could put it on Rumble, like uncensored.
I don't even know what the Rumble TOS is, to be honest.
I mean, they barely ban stuff. They did ban like the you know what I'm talking about, right? A fellow who is like America First.
Oh, they banned him?
Had a speech where he talked about certain things. And basically they were saying like you are advocating for violence.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Yeah. But anyway, I don't know. That seemed like a good topic to wrap up on. Any
Not
final
even-
thoughts? You said what?
Not even like it's. You would think they would at least lie about it, right? Like, oh, I feel so bad about the action. It's not about the consequences, it's the
Mhm.
action. But no, it's
Yeah.
like
It wasn't
it's
like I feel
simply
bad
the
for.
hate.
Yeah, it wasn't I feel bad for embarrassing him. It was, oh, I'm sorry I did this in public.
I
So if
noticed
it's
she
private, it's
also.
fine.
I noticed she also says, like, I want to apologize to him publicly. So that seems to like imply that they've already broken up. At least to
I would
me.
hope so.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
I mean, maybe because I could sort of see it's like, okay, well, I'm still with you, but like I want to do it publicly or something. But like I don't know, like just the way that she's saying it seems more to imply that like, oh yeah, no, like we're already done. But I do want to apologize to him still, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, in that situation, no mercy. Don't have mercy.
Because like if they were together, it would be like baby, I want to apologize to you, you know. But like she's saying it as though like there's kind of distance already, like to him, you know, I want to apologize to him, you know.
This
mean-
is like this is a lack of faithfulness, right? So I mean, I would just consider this like cheating. You know, it's like don't even put up with it.
Yeah, like what I was gonna say is if I was in that position, I'd take the apology for sure. Well, that's
Mhm.
it. It's over. Fuck out.
Yeah. You can't really come back from cheating. You know?
really can't. That
Like once she's like done that to you, like that level of disrespect to like you cannot go back to it and be at the same position that you were before. There will forever be like a level of disrespect over your head.
yeah. Like even like if you say, "Oh, I'm fine with it," there's no way you could look at her the same way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there's no way she could look at you the same way either. So I
Right.
mean, it's a dysfunctional relationship at that point. You're fucked.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's a great way to end the show after nice. This seems like one of our longest, but great conversation, Mr. Gosling and Mr. Greg.
Absolutely the longest.
Any last words, Gosling, for your life and for things in general for this episode?
No, I'm just glad to be here. And yeah, fuck that woman who embarrassed him. Sucks.
I mean, I wouldn't.
The only person that's
Well,
fucking
yeah.
that woman at this point is Omalay that night, and then never again.
I mean, I think this kind of goes back just to like tie it up in a nice bow. You kind of have to be that guy is a thing. Like she has to look at you in the same way that most women would look at celebrities. Otherwise, it's not going to work.
Yeah, you have to be Omalay, not the boyfriend.
Pretty much.
Bombo clat. All right, that's it. Have a good week and
a weekend.
Weekend.
We're not disclosing. We're not cutting you off from the weekend. You can have a nice weekend too.
Do we have like a mascot, or do we call our podcast ever fans something like the Evers, or I don't know?
That does not work at all.
Why not?
It doesn't. What do you mean? Why not? The Evers?
Everybody, how about the podcasters? Everybody who watches the show is a podcaster.
We could monopolize that. Yeah.
It's because this is the podcast ever. So this is the only way you can be a podcaster, to watch this show and support it.
Right.
Okay,
Anybody else
then,
that claims to be a podcaster is just lying, and we should sue them.
Then have a good week and go podcasters.
And a nice weekend.
And a nice weekend. You really love
Never
that
forget the
weekend, don't you?
You
All
gotta.
right, well,
Come on.
have a nice weekend. We'll see you guys next time.
Take it easy.